There's the sun. It's 93 million miles away.
The sun at any given time, and when you say the sun, there is no the sun. Everybody has their own sun.
What do you mean?
Literally.
What do you mean literally?
Literally, everybody has their own sun. There's a different sun for everybody.
What do you mean a different
Everywhere.
sun? I don't understand that. Like,
Yeah.
you mean you're saying that there's a different sun here in Las Vegas than there is in New York?
You're not looking at the same sun there, correct?
So how many suns are there?
As many people who are viewing it.
So every individual person has their own
That's
sun?
correct.
What?
That is correct. The sun's no more than 50 miles away at any given time. And it's
50,
just,
wait. But
and
wait a
it's
second.
and it's
But
just a light
airplanes
in
go up in the
and
sky.
that's right. And it's like a rainbow.
How come
And
the sun doesn't get bigger when you're in an airplane?
The closer you move to it, the farther it moves from you. It's like a rainbow. And the sun isn't a thing.
This is going to break me, man. This is going to break me.
The sun is literally not a thing. The
What?
sun-
Wait
the
a
sun-
second.
yeah, no, it's not like a burning ball of gas or any of that bullshit.
What is it?
Yeah, it's
What is the sun
in the
then?
sky.
The
It's
what-
cold.
The sun is cold.
The sun is cold.
Coming from a galaxy near you, this is Brothers and Booze. And here are your hosts, Greg Washington and Doug Ziegler.
Welcome back, Doug, to Brothers and Booze, and welcome everybody to Brothers and Booze. We got a fun, crazy night in store. I don't know if it's crazy than last week, but we're going to try.
Yeah, so what you got in your glass before we start here?
And the opening sequence, hopefully, is everything, Doug. Hopefully that leads us to...
Yeah, that was that was fucking nuts.
And also, I'm drinking a sparkling water, Doug. It's called Chill from Little Thistle Brewery in Minnesota. Chill, Doug, is a THC infused sparkling water that looks like this. It looks like Kool-Aid. It drinks like Kool-Aid. Doug, for us who, we got to watch our sugar and all this other things. Look at this nice little can. Packs a little 10 milligram punch. So we'll see how I am in about an hour.
If it even takes an hour, we'll see. No, anyway.
Hopefully you don't take an hour. What do you got?
So since you guys were so kind as to have a stout week while I was away, which, thanks for that. I'm going to have my own stout week this week. How about that? So we're going to start with a low ABV stout. Thank you, Daniel. This is the Cookie Milk Stout Exchange from Great Lakes. So this is only a 5.5% ABV. It's a seasonal milk stout with cookie-inspired flavors. So I know you guys were getting into the adjuncts last week as well. So yeah, I'm going to make up for lost time.
Did you watch that whole crazy long-ass...
No, I wanted to, but I didn't actually get a chance to rewatch it either because life. But I watched about an hour, and then I was like, I got to get up at 5 a.m. to drive. So, how long did it go?
Oh, 3 hours and 50 minutes or something like that.
You guys eclipsed Zach? And I wasn't even there? Man.
But Zach is already plotting his revenge for when he takes over this stream whenever that happens.
Okay. So that one it's a fairly sweet, not very roasty, but that's because it's, a milk stout with cookie flavoring in it. So it's going to taste like a dessert stout, but doesn't have the ABV of it. but very drinkable, even though it's pretty sweet, like surprisingly so, because, usually something that's sweet, you have one, you're just like, you could probably have maybe 2 of those, but only 5.5% ABV too. So a light start to my evening. So,
all right. And we'll start with good news. Only good news with our past guest news, Doug.
Yep.
We will start with this one.
Happy birthday, Drew, baby.
Yay! There's supposed to be crowd cheering. Yes, Andrew Dill is what do we call him? Co-owner of Liquid Intrusion Brewing Company with his wife Jasmine Dill.
Mm-hmm.
And they are amazing people. Doug and I know them at this point, we could say personally. We've hung out with them a bunch, literally talked to family with them, all kinds of things. So they're great people. Check out Liquid Intrusion in the DMV area, which is Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. I learned recently, Doug, because I'm not very bright and I couldn't put all that together. But thank you, Andrew, for being you. Thank you for bringing it with the liquid. And we'll see them sometime this year on the stream, y'all.
Yep.
No worries on that one. And item number 2 is another personal friend of Doug and I's, Miss Carla Jean Lauder, has had a baby. Yay! Where's my copy music? Yeah.
Maine beer babe now has a baby.
Yes, Quinn Virginia Lauder was born a few days ago. And she was some kind of poundage.
Almost 9 pounds.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah. That's a big baby.
Yeah, sorry, sometimes those details skip me. And if you know Carla, then you'll know the pounds. If not, you don't need to know. Just need to know that everybody's healthy, mama's happy and healthy, daddy's happy and healthy, baby's happy and healthy. That's all we need to know at this point in stages. And congrats, Carla. That's awesome and fun and amazing. And good luck getting sleep.
Yeah, good luck to that. Also, that baby was given side eye already, which I thought was pretty fun. Like just like this, like kind of
what?
Look, like good at that. Look at that face, just like.
All right, Doug. I'll just let that baby's giving side eye already.
Yeah.
All right, Doug. We'll get to this real fast, and then we'll get to our guests. Okay, so another what the fuck is if you see me looking up, it's because I'm watching this right now, Doug. It's the Pac-10 championship. It's the Washington Huskies and the Oregon Ducks, as you see, for the Pac-10 championship, and the winner gets into the College Bowl, and the loser goes home, and all that other stuff. The 2 quarterbacks are amazing. Might be Heisman Trophy. Probably going to be good in the NFL. So I'm not ignoring our guests or Doug, even though I might want to ignore Doug at some point.
Fair.
It happens. But that's why I'm looking up right now. It's 10-0 still. Okay. Anyway, yeah, Doug, we have some what the fuck news this week. And where's my what the fuck news? What the hell? Okay. Okay. I'm healthily not prepared for this. What is the problem, Greg? So we'll do that later.
THC drinks, that's the problem.
Really? I wasn't even on a THC earlier. I wish I could blame it on that shit. I don't have it here. What are you doing, Greg? I was excited for it too, Doug. Well, here, let me see if I can collect myself. Yeah, Doug. So, the first bit of news we have for y'all, and it's Dateline Ohio, Doug. Yeah, an Ohio attorney is suspended after pooping in a Pringles can and throwing it from his car. This is Ohio, y'all. As the story goes, the Ohio Supreme Court has suspended Jake Blaisley, who's an attorney, for unprofessional behavior, pooping in a Pringles can and then flinging it into a parking lot. The court suspended Blakely for 1 year and 6 months, and they were not happy. Blakely says here, as I can go down, Blakely was eventually pleaded guilty and paid $248 in fine stuff. So at the hearing, Blakely denied that he intentionally chose a target as the person that he was about to go to court with, and rather he claimed that he simply had a habit of putting feces in containers, Doug, and randomly tossing them from his vehicle as a prank. He's estimated that he did this at least 10 times a year for I don't know how long. The Blakely said the prank literally was a way to, quote, blow off steam, Doug. So that's what we got, Doug, for What the Fuck News this week. Do you have any comments on that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I can comment on that. I think it's pretty plain. I mean, the guy likes to shit in containers and fling them around. So whatever.
Yeah, but he only does it 10 times a year. Why do you sound so judgy?
Well, maybe maybe we could give him some kudos for a little restraint that he doesn't do it all the time. Maybe that.
Okay. So, Doug, one more piece of What the Fuck News before we get to our guest, who's not. Well, we might say what the fuck at some of his stories for sure, but Dayline, Florida, Doug.
Florida, of course.
I know it surprises you. The Florida GOP, Christian Ziegler, husband of Moms for Liberty co-founder, accused of sexual battery, Doug, with an alleged menage a trois. And remember, the Moms for Liberty people don't like gay books. They don't want to say gay. But I guess, Doug, it's not gay if it's a three-way.
Maybe. And it would be great if that was DeSantis was a three-way, because that would have been the best headline ever. Also, thankfully, they spell their name differently than me. At least I have that going for me, because I was like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah, I just thought that was really interesting because, again, they run around screaming about gay people and all that. And all of a sudden, what happens, Doug? I don't
get caught.
know.
The people that yell the loudest are usually the people doing the shit, right? Like, that's, oh, man.
Yeah. So on that note, Doug, I don't know how we transfer out of that to our guests, but we're going to somehow do that.
All right. You want me to do it?
Russ is your guest technically because you corresponded with him and made all that work. Sure. So, but I feel we're equally. There's that bond, right? Because he likes watching us. He's going to tell us where he watches, how he does. I'm fascinated by his day job. I'm fascinated by his night job. I'm fascinated about the team that he roots for. There's a whole bunch of shit here. I'm actually fascinated by what Russ drinks. I mean, there's a whole plethora of things that we can get to. So,
yes, sir.
Doug, I'm just going to let you talk. And then
so Russ Coll is a hockey referee, also works for Railroad, and also is a avid wine drinker, which I think I said in pre-show, I think we've only had 2 wine drinkers on. We had Stubbs.
Yeah, I was going to say we had one who had no clothes on.
Yeah, and he drank wine while naked in a pool, so that was fun. And then didn't we have? Wasn't his show partner? Wasn't his show partner Kearns also? Didn't he drink wine on our show?
Yeah.
So I think it was just those two. So Russ is bringing some new shit to our show, which is always welcome.
Yeah. So excellent. So without further ado, the Railroad guy, Kansas City Chiefs guy.
Oh yeah, that too.
Hockey referee, man of many things, right, Doug? Especially things that we haven't talked to. So, without further ado, let's bring the man on. What are we doing?
Yeah. Welcome, Russ.
Hello, hello. So, of all things, though, it is KU in this house.
Oh,
Not by your partner, it isn't.
we are a house divided, and you know what? She will find a way to interject into this because my daughter, oh my goodness, she is going to go to K-State for college. And Julie has flat out said, you know what, you're going to be the best K-State dad there is. I said, you know what, you're right. I'll be the best K-State dad there is. But I sure will go right up in there.
Wearing your KU coat.
I didn't even think we were going to talk about that.
Oh,
Wonderful.
man, that is always the topic with her and I. And here's the best thing is Julie's daughter, Emma, is stop it, Julie. They are not superior. Stop all that. See, she's already throwing jabs, and I'm about to
Already trolling you.
I'm gonna start throwing uppercuts here real quick. So her oldest daughter is in nursing, and K-State does not offer nursing. KU does though. So it's gonna be the next year and a half to 2 years for us is going to be quite exciting.
Really fun.
Yeah.
One thing. Well, welcome, Russ, Brothers Booze, for being a long-term person who watches us. And Doug, how is Russ here? Because Russ got here because of Julie, who we had on, who was fabulous and great and fun and wonderful. And Russ already knows all this, but that aside, how was Russ here? What is it? Tell that story real quick, Doug.
I think it's just because he started watching after Julie was on and just kind of he'd been a regular commenter, regular viewer, and that's been great.
And how do we get to Julie though?
There's one thing to add to this though. While Julie was talking about while she was temporarily she was without a job, she was unemployed, and she went to New York during March Madness to watch K-State play in the Elite Eight. And it was a total like last minute trip. She took off and went to New York, and she said, hey, I want you to take care of my cats while I'm gone. And I said, yeah, that's no problem. And she has this cardboard headshot cutout of Travis Kelce. And so while she was gone, I put that headshot through one of my KU hoodies, and I said, well, while you're off in New York, Travis and I are kicking it. Her response was, take that off of Daddy right now.
No, Daddy.
I said, Daddy and I are out having a drink. You enjoy the basketball. And so that was an ongoing thing. And so while she was on, the first comment I put on was, rumor has it that her boyfriend was kicking it with Travis while she was in New York.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. That was a while ago. But I remember that.
It's a while to figure out who you were. But Doug, how do we know Julie?
Well, I know Julie through some writing stuff, I believe. I mean, I've been Facebook friends with Julie for years. How long? I don't even know.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, it's been several years, and Julie's hilarious. I mean, her Twitter game is pretty awesome. And she does a lot of reels and things like that, and she's always hilarious. So
cool. Okay. I'm just refreshing everybody. I'm pretty sure I remember that, but Russ is. I knew I was going to do it.
It's
Russ
okay.
Here by extension, for sure. But Russ, man, you were for me when I was looking in your background, you were very, very fascinating for many ways for me. I know it's just your life, so it's probably not as fascinating and glamorous as I feel it is, but who cares, right? So you've been working on the railroad your whole life. How did you find that? Is that something that like you wanted to do in your life? Is it something that, we all grew up playing with trains, at least, boys did. And I really love trains. I just love them. I still do. There's a fascination there. How did you get there?
It is just exactly that. Grew up Just absolutely fascinated with them. Honestly, there were times when I was in my younger teenage years that I would go out and actually kind of watch, like go to certain places around Kansas City and, just watch trains go by. Right? It was just fascinating. And I think a lot of that fascination for everybody comes in is that it's one of those elusive jobs that you just wonder, like, I want to drive one of those. Right. But nobody ever really understands what it truly takes to do that. It's kind of like being a pilot. Everybody thinks it'd be so cool to fly the plane, but do you really know how to fly the plane? Right? Now, granted, with trains, we don't have a steering wheel. The interior of those things much resembles a Slurpee machine. It's got a few handles. They only go forward and backward. But when it comes right down to it, the railroad industry is the absolute backbone of the American economy. There's very few ways to move large quantity and large quantity. I should say not the quantity, but the size of an individual piece of freight, except by rail. And it's funny because I did when I was in school, I did a final paper on, if we were to, what would be the financial impact of a company to move freight on truck versus moving it on rail. And I took one standard coal train. I work for Union Pacific Railroad, and our coal trains on average are 135 cars, 100 tons per car. If you were to take that same volume of coal and try to move it from the mine to the power plant, it would take 1,800 semi-trucks to do it.
Wow.
just let that sink in for 1 second. When we can do it with one train.
The more you know, like that whole NBC graphic, like that's not something I grew up right next to train tracks where I literally was in my backyard, and I saw trains go by all the time, and I knew they could be long. I never considered what you're saying at all. Like, Greg, did you ever think of that? Because that just kind of.
No. So that's the one thing, and I'll tell you, like the railroad industry right now has a lot of negative persona with the public right now because. There's been layoffs and we're running trains at longer lengths. And that's the one thing we measure our trains not by the car count, but by the footage and the tonnage. So there's a lot there, and not to mention like the safety aspect. Like everybody knows about the big derailment that happened out in Palestine, Ohio, and that was awful. Like any derailment is not a good thing. Some worse than others. I mean, when you say the word derailment, one axle on the ground is a derailment, much less something like that happened out in Ohio where that was, dozens of cars. And I'll be honest, the railroad, we haul, if it fits in a tank car, whether it's liquid or gas, if it fits in a box car, whether it's or a container, we haul it. And we haul some of the simplest things of life to the most toxic things of life because there's no other ways to haul it. Mm-hmm. Those are the realities of working on the railroad. It's a 24/7 job. Holidays are just another day. Yeah. Working night shift is just another hour of the day. And that's why I say it is absolutely the backbone of America because in our economy, because without it, where would you find 1,800 semi trucks or 1,800 drivers? And that's the other thing. On the rail, we have federal mandate of hours of service. You can go 12 hours or to the next crew change, and then you just put on a new crew and the train keeps going. Whereas a truck driver, even doing tandems or trade off with drivers where they drive for the 8 hours, switch driver, and the other guy sleeps, it's not efficient.
Yeah. Before we move forward, something we neglected to ask you at the beginning, and that's my fault. What are you drinking?
So what am I drinking? I started with a red Pinot Noir, and Pinot Noir is just a good, smooth, easy drinking wine. It has a lot of cherry, raspberry type flavors and notes to it. Maybe like the slightest little bit of cinnamon. And it's really funny because when you talk to people that are not wine drinkers and you talk about those flavors, people go, well, is that what the wine was made out of? And it's really not. A lot of those flavors are brought out in the barreling process. And French oak is one of the best wood barreling products you can use. So this one is a 2019 vintage from a winemaker called Daryl Rex Groom. He's out of California. This one is a Russian River Valley, which is out of Sonoma.
We're familiar with them with the Russian River Beer Company. So yeah. So this particular one I get from a online wine club per se. It's called nakedwines.com, and they outsource wines from all over the world. And the premise is with Naked Wines is you pay $40 or more per month, and Naked Wines takes that money and front loads that independent winemaker to purchase the grapes, to process them, do everything to make that wine. And then when it's ready and it's been bottled and it's had its aging time and they release it out, you get it at a discounted price. So a lot of the stuff that's on Naked Wines, in fact, most all of it, you cannot get in a local wine store or liquor store. So this one's a really good one. I came across Daryl Rex Groom's products years ago when I first signed up with Naked Wines, and I thought, yeah, you know what, I'll give it a try. And it's just one of my favorites. It drinks so easily. And it's got such a great, much like beer does, right? Beer, you can smell some of what's in beer just when you first pour that, right? Mm-hmm.
I know it sounds kind of silly, but if I ever have like a craft beer, I'll only pour a little bit into that glass and do the same thing. You swirl around and just get a sniff of that, and you'll bring in some aromas out of that thing that you just go, wow. And then when you drink it, damn. And honestly, that's right where this one's at. This one is one that every time where I'm like, man, what to drink? Obviously, you can see I have a lot of bottles that are on the wall. But what you don't see is the cabinets behind me and over in the other room. I literally have 200 plus bottles of wine. So
yeah,
I always have something to choose from, whether it's white, whether it's red, sweet, dry, and in between. I do have a white wine here that I'll open up here in just a bit. That is a Missouri wine, and that's another one. Missouri is really getting on the map for making some pretty decent wine.
Interesting. I wouldn't have pegged Missouri for that, but
and that's the thing. Like, a lot of people don't think that Missouri is that kind of place. And, across the entire state of Missouri, there are a lot of limestone cliffs. You're right there on the river valley itself, and there's some good wines coming out of Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri is not what I think about wine, and there's a lot of things I think about Missouri. First of all, it's not right. I've actually been to Missouri, or Misery, as I sometimes call it. Doug, have you ever been to Missouri?
No, Missouri. I've heard it pronounced that way too.
Yes, depending on part of the state, it's Missouri. Me being a Kansas guy, it's absolute misery for me.
In
fact, funny
I see
story.
What you did there.
The funny story is I work with a lot of guys at the railroad, especially people that are like office type jobs that are Mizzou grads. and their big chant is MIZZOU. And years ago, KU football has made a big comeback recently in the past couple of years. But
Yes.
if you go back, I don't know, like 10 to 15 years ago, more probably
Horrible.
in that range. KU had a really good football club under Mangino, and Mizzou had a good team as well. So they had the Armageddon game at Arrowhead, and my best friend Sean, being a KU alum, he got us tickets, and we went to this game. And I heard so much trash talk from these guys at the office, and they're all Mizzou guys. And I kind of found a graphic on the internet that it said MIZWHO, Mizzou. That didn't go over well. It didn't go over well.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Oh well, they'll get over it, right?
Yeah, they get over it.
Right. I'm not gonna get over this one actually, though. Doug, this is a Smoketoberfest.
Whoa, that's cool. Smoketoberfest.
Yeah.
Wow.
The smoke's not prominent, Doug. It's really, really subtle, nice. But you can tell that it's still an Oktoberfest, which are still very much drinkable at this time, y'all.
Yep.
Lagered, so they'll be there forever. They'll be good forever. Not forever, but it's
Forever,
not where you got to work on it. Maybe it's really more like wine, like Russ is working on. Because you can have wine for some wine, I would say, for a good period of time. So I'm enjoying this one, Doug. I'm not going to forget this one. And I do have a follow-up for Russ, though, because Russ, I want to give you the opportunity to you said that the railroad industry kind of gets people look at it in a bad way, and kind of miss all the benefits of it because unless we're Americans, so there's a lot of, if we're not affected by it, then we're pretty much dumb on the issue. That's just the way it is. And we say dumb shit when stuff happens, and then we run to Twitter or Facebook and act like we're experts. And and we saw it with the what was that derailment in Ohio? What was the place again? I'm sorry.
Palestine, Ohio.
You saw with Palestine, and everybody had a fucking opinion about Palestine. Nobody knows anything about any kind of fucking railroads besides there's one under their tree now that they have to turn on and off before they go to bed. So that being said, I want to give you the opportunity to talk to us about, because this is one of the fascinating things I was thinking when I saw, I actually just thought you were a referee, and I'm like, he can't just be a referee. He has to do something during the day. What the hell's going on? So then when I Googled your name, I found, what you do during the day. And I was like, this is amazing. This is great. I love this because I'm a train guy beyond, toy train thing. I want to give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about what the public gets wrong about derailments, because they do really, Russ, from my point of view, they happen a lot. And I think some make bigger news, especially if they have waste that is toxic, and then, whole bunch of things. But what do people get wrong about these things? And so you can set the record.
So I'll just say this is my personal opinion when it comes to some of that stuff. One, I am not a fan of mainstream media, right? And I think that a lot of media outlets do not give you, one, the accurate information or the right perspective of it. Okay, so when that derailment happened, there was a lot of misinformation about it in the first place. I've read the NTSB report. There's also a lot of other things that I've read in terms of, I'll just say, stuff that's captive within the railroad industry as to the events that led up to that. Okay. Everybody assumed, based off what they were being told, that the railroad was negligent in the fact that they put out a car there was a car rolling on the railroad, a freight car that was defective and no good right off the bat. that everybody knew about it and everybody turned a blind eye. And that is absolutely a very false statement in a lot of respects. So, you know, I think without really pointing the fingers, I think the media does not help things in a lot of respects like that. There's a lot of things about the railroad that people don't know, right? So as our business gets to the point of running trains longer to get from point A to point B, it means that if you are traveling on the road and you get stopped at a road crossing, and my gosh, does this train ever end? Where is the end of this thing? And you see the engines on the head end go by, and you're sitting there forever. Next thing you know, you see more engines go by, and then there's more cars behind it. And then you're sitting there, and then you see more engines go by, and that was the end of the train. And most people don't realize that you've just sat there and watched 3 miles worth of a train roll by you. There's no place to stop a train that big. No. The railroads were built in a point of time where the average train length was under a mile. A lot of the rail yards were built to handle that volume of traffic. You know, I mean, railroads were built 150 plus years ago. Not to say that there haven't been improvements to the railroads or places that have, you know, different capacities now based on what I say is newer operational standards. But it's an industry that a lot of people, unless you work there, you just truly don't know the magnitude and the scale of what we work on and how we move your Amazon products from the warehouse to your door, or from the manufacturer to that warehouse. It's there's a lot to it. There really is.
Is there an out to what you're doing, Doug?
Well, so I'm going to continue my stout night here. Before I do that, Russ, what did you open? And what is that? What are you drinking there before I open my next one?
Yes. So I got to tell you, this is one that I came across back in 2019, and I was fresh out of my divorce, and I went and took a winery trip to a place called Herman, Missouri. It is a phenomenal little town. It's a early 1800s German settlement town. And it's built into the bluffs along the Missouri River. They have got so many wineries there. And for the most part, they're okay. They're not Napa, but they're really good. And there is one that is in a town called Rocheport, Missouri. It's right on I-70, which, if you're not familiar, I-70 runs Kansas City to St. Louis and runs right through the middle of the state. Yeah. So this one I came across. It is a blend of 2 white wines, or I should say the white grapes. One is a semi-sweet, which is Vigneron. And then the other is a semi-dry, which is called Traminette. And they have blended these two together. And when I first bought this wine, I absolutely loved it. And I bought a case of it. And then when that case was gone, I went to buy more, and it was gone. Oh my gosh. And they said, we only run that wine a couple of times, depending on the yield of the harvest. And it's the Traminette grape that is the one that is whether or not they get enough yield. So anyway, Julie, I had 1 bottle left. Go ahead, go on. She's here.
Hi, boys.
Hello.
I had opened.
I'm a beer drinker.
Yeah, we know. We had you on the beer. That was great.
This is wine night, not beer night. So I had 1 bottle left, and I opened it up, and I told her, I was like, "This is the last one." And as she's drinking my glass right now, but she liked it. She's like, it's really good.
Hmm.
So I just happened to go onto that winery's website the next day, and I saw they ran another run of it in 21. And I called them up. I was like, how much of that you got? And the gal says, how much you want? I said, oh, I'll get a case. And she goes, oh, yeah, I got a case. But this was just before I was supposed to be on your show back in October.
Oh, and then we had to.
But Greg got COVID, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I drove out to Rocheport, which is about a 2-hour drive from KC. And I picked up a case of this wine because I wasn't about to wait on UPS to deliver it in 3 days. So this wine, like, you know, I talked earlier about that Pinot Noir having certain flavors, notes, and tastes. And they were actually good enough to give me a breakdown of this wine. And I got to tell you, it's one of the best things. It's a 12% alcohol for being a fairly sweet wine. It has like just some of the best tastes ever. Pineapple, melon, honey, maybe like some orange blossom, a little bit of apple. You almost smell like some lilac out of it too. It's gosh, it is Rocheport. It's Les Bourgeois winery at MissouriWine.com. And I'll tell you, they've got a ton of great wines out there. And that's my little stop on my way to Herman every year.
Nice.
Thanks.
Nice.
Oh,
All right,
man.
what do you got?
All right, so I'm not drinking wine. That's fruit salad in a glass. That's for Russ's wine.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds
Yeah,
good.
it does. It sounds interesting. A nice blend of flavors. And I've had both Vignoles and Traminette at like some of the wineries in the Finger Lakes here. But Traminette is not something you find up there very often. That's a kind of a rare one up here. So, but anyway, what I got. He's so bougie.
That's my best friend, Sean.
Okay, I felt a little personal connection there.
Yeah.
He's definitely my brother. Sean and I have known each other since we were in first grade.
Oh, that's excellent.
That's awesome.
Yes. All right. Okay.
He's a class act guy. I love him to death. He is definitely my brother.
I can spot a friend troll in the comments. So anyway, Doug.
So I am getting a variant from a big classic here, Big Bad Baptista from Epic Brewing.
All right.
So Big Bad Baptista, this is a chocolate caramel sea salt whiskey barrel aged stout. So bring it in the adjuncts, baby.
Ooh. That just gets me thirsty thinking about that one. That's a good one.
I mean, it sounds good. I'm not saying it's not, but that's a Doug special. Yeah,
but Big Bad Baptista is a good fucking beer. So I'm pretty thrilled I found this. But
Adjunct City.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So chocolate, not much caramel in the nose. So Epic just makes good stuff.
Epic is great.
Oh, so that is. Ooh. All right. How do I describe this? Because that is like a whole bunch going on.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Like you smelled that, you took a drink. I'm going, okay, what does it taste like? Like I'm over here itching to try it now.
It is like if you had a caramel chocolate bar that was coated with sea salt and it just all blends super well together. Like that's what it tastes like. And it's 12% ABV, so it's pretty high in the ABV. But man, that is now it's pretty sweet. So one can will do you with that, and especially at 12%. But yeah, take me down to Adjunct City.
Is it epic?
It is epic, I would say. Like I said, that is. If you've ever had Big Bad Baptista, that beer is phenomenal. And I saw that having like all those little adjuncts in it. I'm like, well, I'm picking up one of those. So yeah, that's really good.
All right. Awesome. We're going to jump into this before we get to More shit. Is that the one that they say sounds like porn music, Doug? Just one of them.
Yes, but it's fine. It's fine. We're all adults.
Okay, cool. All right. Doug, you told me that you're watching this one.
Yes, I watched this last week. This is the latest movie from David Fincher, I believe. David Fincher, who directed Seven and a bunch of other fucking awesome movies. Michael Fassbender's in it. It's basically a for-contract killer, and the first 30 minutes of that is just him talking and just describing how things and how he does things, and it's like how in Castaway where Tom Hanks just spends a whole hunk of the movie where he's just by himself. It's like that, except he's actually talking to the things here, you're getting a sense of what he is. This is not Fincher's finest work. It's definitely interesting. And Fassbender's excellent in it. But yeah, it's just basically a hitman who misses for the first time at one of his shots, and then what happens after that. So it's worth a watch. It's like I said, this isn't going to measure up to your Sevens or anything like that, because that shit's beyond reproach, but it's definitely worth a watch.
Excellent. Russ, are you watching anything intriguing?
I talked about railroad work schedule. We did experience a little bit of a cut at our locomotive shop, and so I ended up back on the night shift Sunday through Thursday, and I've never tipped my boss off to watching your show, so I feel confident in saying this. During the night, when everybody else is nice and cozy asleep in bed, I'm awake and running a railroad. But when things get quiet, I will watch Netflix, HBO Max, Xfinity streams, whatever I can get my hands on. And I went and rewatched Ozark. And man, I'll tell you, I remember watching it the first time, and there were some things that I missed, because watching it the second time, I went, how did I not remember this? But I just wrapped that one up, just finished it up. And I just told Julie, I need Netflix to hurry up and bring out Love is Blind 6.
Oh,
yes.
I don't know what it is about that show. I am not a reality TV watcher, but this one has had me hooked, because there's some people on there that honestly I'm like, you know what, these people are going to work out and they're going to be great. Oh. And then there's others where I'm like, that dude's a douchebag. Why? How did he make this show? And she's a bitch. Get her ass off here now.
But they want people like that on that show to make all the drama. And I mean, if you noticed, I'm sure you watched the last season, right?
Yes.
And you saw there was only 2 weddings, right?
Yeah.
And there was two other couples that went to Mexico, and one threatened to sue the network and threatened to unalive himself if they showed it. And then there was another one where it was a sexual assault allegation against the guy and the other couple.
Mm-hmm.
So
in prior seasons, there were ones where, there was some type of connection between a man and a woman right through these pods, and, not seeing who that person is. You're just hearing the voice, right? And at some point in time, you got to decide. You got to make a decision. You can't take 2 women or 2 guys, right? You gotta narrow that down.
Well, you can if you're in Utah.
But they get to that point where, okay, they've met, now they're going to somewhere, and now everybody's going to be together, and you're going to see that person that you said no to.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember. It might have been in season 4. There was this one guy that broke it off with a gal, and I just can't remember names for the life of me now. I can remember the rule book left and right when it comes to hockey, but names jacks me up. But the guy just flat out said, I typically go for this type of woman. But the woman that he ended up having some type of connection with and decided to want to be with is not his type. And then when they get to the resort in Mexico or wherever they were at, he sees the one he passed up on, and he's like, oh, crap.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And that's where immediately, like, the drama picks up. I'm just not a drama person. I just can't deal with it. I don't like it. But when I see that, it brings out a person's true colors. It brings out their true colors. And that's where I'm just like, dude, you're a douchebag. Like, oh my gosh.
Doug.
Yeah.
Tell Russ about the opposite one. Maybe he doesn't know about that.
Oh, I was gonna.
Okay.
So if you want to go for the opposite of Love is Blind, on HBO Max is a show called Naked Attraction.
Yes. I have seen that too.
And it is just like the complete opposite, where you're just seeing just people naked before they even talk. And the best, and like I was telling somebody else about it, I'm like, just be prepared, because the amount of uncircumcised dongs you're going to see is going to be really shocking. So because it takes place in Britain. So
yes. In fact, I'll be honest, I did watch one episode last night when I was at work. And
yes,
like I have seen episodes of it before, so it wasn't shocking. But what was shocking was the host is a woman, and this woman has said, like, I don't have any. I've dated men, I've dated women. Like, okay, whatever. That's your life, your prerogative, whatever. But there is a woman standing there, and she has got, these 6 guys, and the doors only open to like their belly, and so that's all you see is the belly down. And she's going up to each one, and she's like,
just
like, what do you think of this? And the gal's like, oh, that thing's a bit intimidating.
uncircumcised dogs.
And the next view is the camera like zoomed in square on this dude's package. And I'm like, I didn't I didn't need to see all that.
You didn't sign up for that, did you?
I know. I've watched a few, but I can't get into that one. That one.
It's a weird sociological thing to watch.
Yeah.
And it's largely sociological for me, because in America that you can't do all that stuff. And in Britain, they're like, let's do it, whatever. And these people are like, yep, it was really empowering. And I'm like, you couldn't do that in America. That's why I find it fascinating.
Yeah, it is definitely a different show. It's in some respects it's kind of funny, but
yeah.
So before I get to ask Russ if he's ever driven a Zamboni, I'm going to ask Russ this one, Doug, you too. Without saying its name, what is a TV show that can be instantly recognized based on one quote? And let me start, but in the comments, y'all, I want to hear it. I'm going to say Kiss My Grits. That's dating me. Doug, you know where that's from, right?
I know exactly where that's coming from.
Say it, buddy.
Oh, it's from Alice.
Yes. Bill's Diner. Yes. What do y'all got? Russ, what do you got?
Russ, what do you got, man?
I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of TV. I'm more of a movies kind of guy. But Russ, I'm probably going to date myself a little bit here. But as far as a TV show, as far as a quote, did I do that?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. Doug, what do you got? You watch a lot of TV shows.
The thing is, there's a million to pick from, but one that just popped into my head was how you doing?
How you doing?
Right.
Or we can go, hey. That really ages me.
Yes, it does. Oh yeah. Archie. That's
Oh,
an easy
jeez.
one.
Hey, before for Archie, you realize that Archie and Edith in that show were supposed to be Archie was supposed to be 47 years old, and Edith was supposed to be 44. No joke. I saw that, and then I had to look it up. I'm like, holy shit, that's true. Like, Jesus Christ. Those people look like they were in their
Wow.
60s.
Yeah.
Wow. So Russ, unless any of y'all have another thing you want to crack open, I got an open-ended question for you.
All right.
Y'all good? Y'all good?
Yeah.
Yep.
So Russ, I suspect, tell me if I'm wrong, of course, that your entrance into hockey is a lot like your entrance into trains, meaning you grew up with it, you loved it, and you're like, hey, I want to be paid to be screamed at for 60 minutes. So please tell us about, before we get to what you currently do for hockey, please get to the beginning. Did it begin in, I played hockey, believe it or not, Russ. I was a goalie. I loved it. It was good times. I played as I didn't play as a kid. I played as like a early adult kind of thing. So I wasn't in the Pee Wee leagues or any of that shit. I played after I left my house, or I was leaving my house, late teens and all that. So, did you start in a hockey pond, man, with the ice over in January, or what was going on? How did you get to? Let's hear it.
This is honest truth, and it's so fitting for this show. But it all began in a liquor store parking lot.
Great. We got to hear it now.
I'm dead serious. I can't make that up. So where I grew up in Kansas City, first off, like Kansas City hockey is not like St. Louis hockey. It's not like Chicago hockey or Minnesota hockey. It is a very prominent progressing sport with the city. However,
Russ, real quick. Isn't that because, could it be attributed to not having a pro team there?
Yes and no. Kansas City has had pro hockey for years. There's just not the market for the NHL size like there is with St. Louis or Chicago, Minnesota, Dallas, like the big cities, right? Not to say Kansas City is not a big city. It's just not that kind of market. So where I grew up in Kansas City is a place called Wyandotte County. We call it the Dot, right? And I grew up in an inner city area. Hockey is not the sport of the inner city, right? So, but there were when I got old enough, the neighborhood I kind of grew up in was a little rough, and it was a very busy street that I lived on. My parents did not let me have a bicycle until I was almost 11 years old, and when I got my first bicycle, I was riding around neighborhoods, whatever, and I met these two boys. They were brothers, and they just lived a block away. And there was one afternoon they were up the street at the parking lot behind the liquor store, and they were playing hockey. And then they gave me a stick, and they were like, "Hey, come play." And I was like, "Oh, this is kind of fun, right?" And as time went on, like, I really fell in love with the sport, and I was a goalie. I enjoyed, and as if it isn't bad enough that I enjoy 60 minutes of people yelling and screaming at me, go ahead, shoot at me.
100 miles an hour. Throw it at me.
I can take it. Come on. So, that was just that's where it really all began. Sean says, "You mean the ghetto?" Dude, we did not live in a ghetto. It was not a great area in town, but it wasn't a ghetto. Good gosh. But that's really where it all began. And for those brothers, their uncle worked in the pro hockey circuit as a medical trainer on the bench. And I will tell you, in light of recent events in the hockey world, the hockey player that had just a tragic accident over in the UK and died, their uncle has kind of a role in that same thing. back in the 80s in Buffalo, New York, a goaltender named Clint Malarchuk.
I remember seeing this.
Yes. Their uncle saved Clint's life. He was the medical trainer that jumped off the bench, ran across the ice, and stopped the bleeding as best he could. And for people that don't know, Google it, go YouTube the video, and firsthand, and I'm going to tell you, it is a awful sight to see. It is absolutely gruesome and horrific to watch. But the reality is, Clint Malarchuk had his carotid severed, and two players that collided, fell to the ice, and he was already down in a kind of a crouched position, and one of the skates came up and cut him across the neck. I've met Clint once before, an incredible guy, and he is a huge advocate now for sports athletes that have PTSD from various issues, because Clint suffered an enormous amount of mental health problems following that. The man took on 300 stitches and passed out 3 times from the ice to the OR. And I mean, it's an absolute amazing story. And he was extremely blessed and grateful to the people that saved his life. But in the years coming, Clint actually tried to kill him. He tried to commit suicide a couple of times, and believe it or not, has failed at doing so. One was he put a pistol right up under his jaw and pulled the trigger, and the bullet is lodged up in his sinus cavity. And it didn't kill him. So,
he's invincible.
man, I'll tell you, he's a great dude, and I follow him on Facebook now. He does a ton of motivational speaking for PTSD, especially with athletes.
Wow.
And the mental health aspect. But nonetheless, so that's where it really all started for me, was with these two brothers. And there was a point in time, we played hockey on the street, and we had rollerblades. Like I said, we didn't grow up in a wealthy neighborhood or anything. So to be able to afford to play ice hockey was not an option at all. And we played in a roller hockey league for a couple years until their dad, they made the decision they were moving to China to do missionary work. Their dad is a pastor in his church organization. And so they moved in 95. And then I was left with nobody. And I'm like, this really stinks. I don't have anybody to play hockey with. I'm the goalie. Who's going to shoot at me? Right? Who's going to shoot at me?
Love the goalie.
I'm not putting on all that equipment to go stand out there in the parking lot and do what? So officiating was something that really kind of sparked my interest. And I thought, you know what? This would be fun. I should try to do this. And I knew a few people through the hockey world that also officiated. They got me set up to go to a seminar / clinic with a lot of other people, and that's where it all started. Was in the 95-96 season, and I've been doing it since. I've had a lot of great experiences along the way. I'm in my 14th season working on the professional side in the minor leagues with the ECHL. And then I had 5 years of that with the Central Hockey League as well, which is is a defunct league now. But
I remember that.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey.
Really cool, man. Really cool. What's going on, Doug? It's just really cool.
Yeah, it's okay. I have one thing to say about the Clint Malarchuk thing is there was a period in time in my high school where high school and college, where I was actually a little bit into hockey. I liked watching it. It's very fast, which is what I like to watch. That's why I hate baseball, because it's too fucking slow. But I was watching that game live when that happened.
Oh.
And I just was like, I was like, what's happening? Like, I just didn't have, because he took off his helmet and just blood spurt. I was like, what the fuck happened? Like, I was just so shocked. And then the announcers were like, didn't know what to do. Like, what do you do? So
the players didn't know what was going on either.
yeah.
There was a scrum that started behind the net. And by the time anybody realized what was going on, everybody was like oh shit.
Yeah,
Like,
this is bad.
oh yeah, it was really, really bad.
Yeah. So, but I would just caution people who are going to watch it. Just lots of blood. Just trigger warning on that. If you don't dig that stuff, don't watch it.
Yeah, it is absolutely the worst thing to possibly see, and even more the more recent issue, or the incident that happened over in the UK with the player over there. That video itself is even worse.
All right. Yeah, I'm not watching that.
Yeah, it is absolutely just flat awful to watch, and I feel bad for the family, the teammates, the coaching staff, everybody, and even the people that were in the stands that witnessed that firsthand. That is it's an awful side of our game that accidents happen. I've seen players get cut. I myself have been cut before, not to that extent or anywhere even close, but it's just kind of a fact of the game. And if you go to my Facebook page, I posted a video just today, earlier. It's kind of an old documentary. It came out some years ago on the kind of the aspect of fighting in the game of hockey, because it's really, aside from boxing or MMA, it's the only sport that allows for fighting. Right. And it's a very interesting documentary to watch. I think it's about a 15-minute video or something. So like, if you get the chance, anybody go find my Facebook, go watch it. It's pretty interesting.
Cool. Doug, you have a follow-up or?
I actually do. No, I have one quick, and then you Greg. So I was watching a hockey game the other day. It just happened to be on. I was at my brother-in-law's, and they're in Columbus, Ohio. So their team, and I don't think there's an AHL team there, but anyway, but they had a hockey game on, and these guys got into a fight, and one guy just sucker punched a guy from the back. It was not a good scene, right? So they both go to their penalty box, and they are just fucking yelling at each other, like pointing, and they're just still furious at each other.
Yeah,
and all I keep thinking is, do refs notice that? And if so, do they kind of keep an eye on those guys when they come out of the penalty box? How does that work?
There's a...
Whoa.
I think he just dropped.
Yeah, I know he dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's back.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Hey!
Here we go.
Whoa!
Sorry, do it, Doug. So we don't.
All right. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. I got a little fat fingered. I was looking at the chat.
Happens.
So yeah, there's a couple of aspects to that, right? So why does the game even allow for fighting? That's the question that a lot of people ask, because you can't do it in basketball, you can't do it in football, you can't do it in basketball. Not to say that it doesn't happen, it certainly does, but generally that is not a component of the game, right? So it's a method to allow the players to police themselves without the officials policing them. Okay, so our job on the ice is absolute 100% focus on everything. Players, puck, the flow of the game, everything. And when you got two guys that have a
beef?
I want to call it an oh shit moment, because it's oh shit, they're pissed. Oh shit, when they come out of the box, something's going to happen.
Oh,
yeah, and one of my bosses with the ECHL, he calls it the smell test. Does something smell wrong? does something smell fishy, then your mind ought to be going off right away. Like, so, our icing on the cake. It truly is something it's an overall game awareness for us as officials. We know that we just put two guys in a box that are not done with each other. And when they come out, our head needs to be on the swivel. Because it may not be just those two players. And maybe it happened to be those two players at that moment in time, and that's why they're both in the box. But you got the tough guy over here on the bench that is pissed off with that other guy from the other team. Mm-hmm. And when they come out, now there's a line change, and those two guys go at it. Mm. That's a whole different aspect of the game that I don't think a lot of people truly understand. And
yeah, that's why I asked about the thing, wondering, like, you have a million things to be, and I think you only have 3 officials on the ice, right?
Yes, in most aspects. So the NHL uses a four official system: 2 referees, 2 linesmen.
2 linesmen. Yep.
The American League, which is AAA, I want to say they're better than 75% of the games played are 4-man, 2 referee, 2 linesmen, and it may be higher than that now. The ECHL is currently working at a 25% rate. So 25% of all of the league games will be on a 4-man system. So, there's a lot.
All I keep thinking of is the Seinfeld George Costanza quote. It was cold. I was in the pool. There was shrinkage.
Oh goodness, that's funny.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go on, Doug.
No, I just could say sorry. My brain I'm perpetually 12 years old mentally.
So Russ, have you ever driven a Zamboni? It's a question that everybody wants to know.
I have actually, and believe it or not, it is not easy. It is not easy at all.
So those guys make it look easy.
They do. And I'll tell you what, the ones that make it look easy are the true professionals at doing it.
Slide it, and it's dope. A Zamboni is
because, and here's the other thing, like a lot of people don't truly understand what the Zamboni does. Right. So that whole piece that's sitting on the ice is like a few different components. One, there is an auger that basically scoops up all of the shaved ice, what we call snow, right? Mm-hmm. And then it funnels it to the center, and then there's a vertical auger that goes up, and then it sprays it into the big bin on top. Okay. When a Zamboni is done resurfacing the ice, there is enough snow in that container you could fill a van. How about that? Right? So the other side of that is behind that auger, there is a blade, a very, very sharp blade that puts it basically it kind of.
Barkley.
Welcome, Barkley. Welcome to the show.
Oh, goodness.
Actually, he did pretty good.
Oh, he's just go out the door.
Zamboni snow cones for everybody.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Really? Oh, never mind. All right, we're good. Sorry. DoorDash.
For now.
So the blade actually shaves off a layer of ice. And then behind that, there is hot water that is sprayed down on the ice that actually melts the ice down and fills in the cracks. I shouldn't say the cracks. Everybody calls them the cracks. The cut lines from skating. Mm-hmm. And then on the back end, everybody sees that towel and the water jets that spray up. that water just fills in all of the basically all of the imperfections and smooths it all out. So when it freezes as a smooth sheet of ice again.
My wife's uncle is the Zamboni driver for the Buffalo Sabres.
Really?
No shit.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
Like he does that, and that's not his only job. That's his job at nights, like you do with the refereeing.
Sure.
But he's the Zamboni guy for the Buffalo Sabres. That's kind of funny, I think.
Nice. That's awesome. I mean, it truly is. It's one of those things. It's kind of like the railroad. It's fascinating. Everybody gets fascinated with the Zamboni, but until you have to go drive it, it requires a constant set of speed. You have to know how much blade pressure to have on the ice. You have to know how much water to actually be putting down. It's a science. It really is.
What's interesting about it is her uncle is a bit of a doofus, so I'm not sure how he pulls it off, but he's good at doing that, apparently.
Oh, goodness.
So,
even a doofus can master one thing.
That's fair. Ben Carson comes to mind, if you guys remember him.
Oh, I want to forget him.
Well, he's not alive anymore, so we can forget him. That's fine.
No, you're thinking of the other guy.
No, I thought did Ben Carson?
No, he's still around.
Right.
You're thinking of the 999 guy. What's his name?
Yeah, the guy. Yeah, I can't remember the pizza dude.
Somebody tell us.
I can't remember.
I know JHG knows, and I know for sure Daniel or JHG knows. Who's that?
Yeah.
Who's the black guy was supported Trump, and then
he's the one who called it as Becca stand because he didn't know what the fuck the name of the country.
He went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, during the pandemic, and then he caught COVID there and died. So,
yep. And Herman Cain, yes, Daniel Fisher, you win. God damn it, you always.
Yeah, that's not Ben Carson.
Daniel Fisher is a fucking. He's like, forgive me, he just knows all the data, and I'm envious of that.
Doug, for someone who writes, you know that this is called a savant. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. Before we go, hey, I just saw Russ pour another glass of wine. What'd you pour?
Yeah, you have a third one too, right?
I do.
Well, so I just refilled that Pinot Noir.
Oh, okay.
That
is it calling you?
That Vigneault Traminette is good for a glass or two for me. It's a bit sweet, but man, that Pinot really that drives it home for me.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, like my wife is more the wine drinker than I am, and she is very much a dry red person.
She would love. She probably loves a good Pinot Noir.
She does. She is weirdly like if she's going to have like just sort of I'm going to use the term everyday wine. She doesn't drink every day by any stretch, but it's more like a Cab Sav kind of deal for her, but like something on the drier end. So yeah, but yeah. So Greg's not here, but I'm gonna pour something that he's gonna be envious of.
What you got? Let's hear it.
So this is Dragon's Milk is my very favorite stout ever. This is their Reserve S'mores stout.
Okay. So one of our liquor store, well, I say a liquor store, there's a store right up the street from me called the Brown Bag.
Mm-hmm.
And they have got one of the most impressive selections I've ever seen in a local store for craft beers, local breweries, or even others. And I'm going to tell you what, I saw that Dragon's Milk there, and I was so tempted to buy it. But that particular day, Julie and I were headed to the Chiefs game, so I just grabbed a bunch of crap beer.
As you should, for the Chiefs. Anyway, hey, I have to grab a bottle opener because dummy me didn't prepare. Grab a bottle opener.
Oh no!
Well, now I'm gonna ask the question. Damn it! You brought up the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So, a lot of questions here. Actually, a lot of questions. We'll get Doug's tasty notes here in a second, but. Because I'm going to ask you a question that I think might take a while to answer. Doug, is that barrel-aged s'mores?
Yes.
Insane.
And here's the thing. Last week when I saw our guy Rod open up the barrel age oatmeal cookie, I have that one too. So I was like, I'm not going to open that. I'm going to use my fancy dragon's milk glass. So
let's go get to it. I got like 6 more questions for Russ.
all right.
Come on. Oh, that hit the spot.
All right. So, Greg, if you remember a few years ago, they actually had a dragon's milk s'mores that they made, which was by far the best s'mores beer I've ever had.
Yeah, I had it at the brew pub, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. This is better. This fucking Jesus. It's like every s'more flavor you can have, and it just blends beautifully. Sometimes when you get the s'more beers, are either it tastes burnt, or too much marshmallow,
chocolatey, or too graham crackery.
Yeah, it's just not. This is perfectly balanced. It's just super smooth. 11% ABV. I could drink 2 or 3 of these. I wouldn't because I would be immediately drunk, but very good beer.
Well,
you say it like it's a problem. So Russ,
that's good. God damn it.
So you work night. You generally work nights as your day job.
Correct.
Technically, and then the hockey games happen at night. So I know there's probably a lot of coordination with you and your work because the ECHL spans a big area here.
Yeah, it does.
So
yes, it does. And
what kind of responsibility do you have? And now we have an appearance of a cat, and pregame we had an appearance of Barkley.
Oh, look at her! Okay, that's a beautiful cat. The markings
I'll tell you the story about this cat here in a second, but the ECHL and they don't have a team there anymore. But I tell people it's the East Coast Hockey League. However, this league spans from coast to coast and north to south. They used to have a team in Alaska. So I would tell people it spans Alaska to Florida and from Canada to California. And I mean, it really is. So my reach within the league is my home here in KC, Wichita, Kansas, which is only about a 2.5-hour drive for me. And it's all highway. And then Tulsa, Oklahoma is where the Oilers play. They are roughly about a 3.5 to 4-hour trip. And occasionally I will go to Allen. I saw Jeff just posted in there go Allen. Allen's got quite the history in the league. And I got kind of a funny story to that because back in 2015, I think it was 2015. That was the first year the Central Hockey League had folded, and the Allen Americans were part of that league, as well as the Missouri Mavericks. That was their title at the time. Now they're the Kansas City Mavericks, and the Kansas City Mavericks had just a phenomenal team that year, and they won the regular season outright. And in the first round of the playoffs, they had Allen. And so games 1 and 2 were here in KC. And I was on the crew for game 1 in the playoffs. And the 4 of us officials were in our locker room. We're kind of stretching out. We're talking a little bit. And just kind of mentally preparing for the game. And our supervisor walks in for the night, and he's talking to us about penalty standards, sight line, what we call sight lines. And sight line is nothing more than how effectively you can see your field of vision. Mm-hmm. Right? So we were just talking about a lot of things and preparing ourselves mentally while we're starting to stretch out and kind of get ourselves physically ready. And there's a knock at the door. And I'm closest to the door, and I said, yeah, come on in. But nobody comes in. I'm like, I wonder who was knocking. So I get up and I open the door, and it's Steve Martinson, who was the head coach for the Allen Americans. And he goes, is Pierce in here? Mike Pierce was our supervisor. I said, yeah. I was like, come on in, Steve. No big deal. There's 4 of us plus our supervisor. I have no issues. And Marty is pissed. I mean, not just pissed. He is irate, angry. And he starts yelling and screaming and dropping F-bombs at all of us. And it's not even anything we did. But he tells Pierce finally says, Marty, like, calm down. What's going on? And he goes, I'll tell you what's going on. These motherfuckers, they came in here and they smeared shit underneath our lockers, and every one of our locker rooms smell like poop. And we're all like, what? No way.
That's some Boston Celtics shit there. Sorry, Jeff Pepper, but that is some Boston Celtics shit.
And so we're all like, no way, that can't be. So Pierce, he says, boys, I'm gonna go check out their locker rooms. I'll be back. So Marty and
were
Pierce,
they in Pringles cans? Maybe it's the same guy. I don't know. Anyway, go. Sorry, my bad. Go on.
No, that's funny. That's funny. So Marty and Pierce, they leave, and the 4 of us are just like, we are all mind blown. We're like, no way did the Missouri team go in their locker room and smear shit underneath the lockers and the benches and stuff in there. And so we're just like, whatever. About 10 minutes later, Pierce comes walking back in, and he's like, holy shit, boys. It smells like shit in there. And we're like, no way. So, the series goes on. Allen wins game 1 and game 2 in Kansas City. And then the series goes back to Allen for games 3 and 4. And Allen wins 3 and 4 down there in Texas. So Missouri gets swept in the first round. That's it. They're done over. Allen ends up winning the league. They win the cup that year. And when the season was over, it all came out that Marty paid somebody to come in and smear stink bait underneath all of their lockers for his players to get all of his players pissed off to go out and play well.
All right, I stand corrected. That's not some Boston Celtics shit. That's some dumb shit.
The guy is a legend. I mean, the guy is a legend. He has won so many championships in minor league hockey, and he knew how to get his guys stirred up. So by him doing that, it pissed all them guys off, and they went out there and absolutely whooped Missouri's ass in the first round, and then ended up winning the cup for the season.
And Russ said pissed off too, Doug, during all this.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. The story is just amazing.
Oh yeah, it's. Oh my god.
So your answer is you go to a couple of these places. You don't have to go to Canada.
No, I don't have to go to Canada. No.
All right. Can I ask? Can you bring that graphic up? Because I have some questions about some of these team names.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. First of all, the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, the Jacksonville, Florida Icemen, the Savannah Ghost Pirates. There was another one, and I can't remember what it was. It was.
How about the Orlando Solar Bears?
Oh, that's the one. The Orlando Solar Bears. Also, the Iowa Heartlanders is a little too on the nose, but I'm always fascinated by the way that teams come up with their logos or their mascots. Like there's one here, like I live near Binghamton, New York. Their minor league baseball team is called the Rumble Ponies, which is a dumb name, but I mean it's kind of fascinating how they come up. Like, so you're talking. So let's talk college teams. One of my favorite is the Southern Illinois Salukis.
Oh yeah. I'd rather imagine that has some Native American ties.
It does not. Salukis are a European breed of dog that is much like a whippet, but with long hair. It is the goofiest looking dog And they're like, yeah, that's fierce. Let's be the Salukis.
Wow. Taught me something. So I'll give you just a kind of another little one here. When you look at that graphic and you see the Kansas City Mavericks, like what do you attribute to the Maverick being? Like, what is that? And when you go to their website and you look a little bit, in the past, their mascot is a horse. And every bit of this team's logo, history, and everything comes back to President Truman, who was a native of Independence, Missouri. And the team is in Independence, Missouri. So there's always something behind it. And some of it is fairly easy to catch on to. Some of it's not.
So Russ, I know you have tough skin because you're a goalie. And I believe you have to have tough skin to be a referee in today's society where half the time y'all get blamed for the outcome of the game than the players or the coaches or anything. And this crosses all kinds of sports. Obviously we deal with it on Sunday, we deal with it on Saturday, you deal with it during the week. My question for you is this. I understand doing it for what now? 14 years?
14 years as professional, but
Okay.
I have been through youth. I will say amateur hockey because it's with USA Hockey.
Yep.
That encompasses adult league, rec league, high
Pee-wee.
school,
Yep.
Pee-wee, square spans, all the youth hockey. It's all amateur hockey, and I've been doing that since '95.
Okay.
Yeah.
With that being said, I know without even knowing you, I know you have thick skin, but there has to be times where somebody gets under that skin.'re only human, and you've had a lot of exposure to this. So I actually want to skip past the part of you understanding that for the most part, I understand you probably hold your composure as you should, and you keep things in context, which is at the end of the day, this is a game that people are playing. And it's not, unless we're talking about Clint Malarchuk, it's not life or death. Generally, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, it's a game and it's supposed to be fun. And I'm pretty sure you have that mindset as a referee. Again, doing it so long and appreciating the sport. I know the appreciation of the sport is a lot with referees and coaches say people who aren't playing. You know what I mean? Like when you're playing, it's a different game. But when you are on the peripheral of making that game happen, which referees, coaches, Zamboni drivers, all y'all do, and all y'all are valuable to the whole thing. How I got two ways to go with this, so I'm trying to figure out which one's more interesting. Have you how many penalties have you given out? Here we go. Let's just go right directly. How many penalties do you remember giving out to the home team because somebody would shut their mouths in the stands? And I know the threshold probably has to be high because I know you hear a lot of shit. So any kind of personal shit, and they don't even know you personally, but I can, just by your looks, Russ, I could call you a couple names that would probably maybe make you angry.
Okay. Before I answer your question, Greg, bring it on. I want to hear it.
That is for post game.
That will be when we are done.
Okay, all right.
And we're in post show.
So all right. So listen. I honestly have got such a high threshold for parents and coaches that want to yell and scream, because when it comes right down to it, the percentage of kids that will make it to pro hockey in America is less than 1%. Yep. And it does, and this goes beyond hockey, whether it's soccer, it's football, it's basketball, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Every parent wants to believe that their kid's got the potential to make it. I will be the first one to tell you, you should probably give that up. Enjoy your kid playing while you've got the time that your kid's playing. Enjoy that time, right? So here's when it comes to pro games. Julie has always said, "Man, how do you deal with all those people booing at you?" And I said, honestly, it's quite funny because I what are they going to do? Just boo at me? Hey, ref, you suck. Okay.
4 blind mice. 4 blind mice.
Right? So it just doesn't bother it doesn't bother me. And it's funny because Julie was just at a game this last weekend where I actually made a call, and then following that call, one, the crowd didn't like it and they were kind of and then when I was conducting the next face-off, the two guys didn't want to line up correctly. And so I had to stop them both and like kind of redirect their attention and say, hey, I need your feet here. I need your stick here on the ice, and then we'll get the puck down. But it was taking a little time. And everybody, like I could hear it. I heard it, but I wasn't hearing it, right? Like, and people were just start yelling, drop the fucking puck. Like everybody's just getting anxious. They want the game to get going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as we were getting ready to drop, one of the players tried to cheat, and I had to kick him out. Only it was the home team guy that I kicked out. And then the whole place starts booing, right? And nonetheless, the next guy comes in, and I say, hey, this is what I need from you. You do this. We'll get the puck down. We'll get the game going. And then that was fine. That was that, right? So no big deal. And afterwards, she was like, I felt bad for you. All those people were booing you. I'm like
What's she saying in the background over there? She's like,
my daughter was at a game once where people were yelling and cursing and screaming, and she started crying. Julie's over there like, there's a woman behind her that's yelling and screaming, and she's like, leave me alone.
Well, to be fair, Julia's talked multiple times about how she's tends to be more of an introvert. So the idea of like being an introvert and seeing someone you care about and love being like just ostracized publicly it has to be a challenge.
And like with my daughter here, there was a game where we went to Wichita, my ex-wife and my son and my daughter, and I told them on the way there, I said, listen, the Wichita fans can be very cruel people when it comes to us as officials. You're going to hear things that you're going to get like probably scared about.
Well, hello, Kitty.
Oh my gosh. This guy. Okay. I said, don't worry about anything they say. They're not going to hurt me. They're not going to come find me. We're safe. You're safe. It's no big deal. And
It's a whole bunch of talking.
Mm-hmm.
And it is that. And so at the end of that game, when we were done, I got out of my skates and out of my gear, and I went to the elevator where I told them to meet me. And I went up to the concourse level, and there was, my kids, my ex-wife, and I was like, come on, get in, because I'm not getting out of this elevator. And on the way back down to ice level, my daughter had this look in her eyes and her face, and I was like, what's wrong? And she started tearing up. And I looked at my son, Christian. I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, something's wrong. And I asked my ex-wife, I'm like, what happened? And she goes, there were people up there in the stands threatening to kill you. And like, obviously it spooked my kids. There's people that are talking about killing you, right? And I was like, you have nothing to worry about. I promise you, like, our car is back here behind a secure gate. You're down here where it's safe. These people can't get here. Nobody's going to come finding us. We're okay. And, after that night, like, they got through. I said, that's what I mean, where people can be ruthless when it comes to that stuff towards officials. And, it's okay. Now, here's a little different side of this. Working amateur hockey, you don't always have that kind of that level of protection, right?
Right.
Last season, I was working a high school game that was here in KC, and there was a team from Des Moines that was in town, and the race for a playoff spot was very intense with these two teams. So it really did matter who came out on the winning end for the weekend. And there was a play where the Des Moines player took a penalty, and the Kansas City kid didn't like it and retaliated. And so now I'm going to take both guys. And the Kansas City parents are just pissed off because now where they were going to have the power play, now they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And after I assessed the penalties to the scorekeeper, we're getting ready to get into position to start the game again. And all of a sudden there was just this moment of quiet. Like the entire rink just went quiet. And I hear one fan off the Kansas City side, "Rusty, you fucking suck!" That was awesome. I don't even know who the guy was. How does he know me by name? So it just happened to be that the supervisor was there that night, and he did know the guy that shouts this out, and he calls him out in front of the parents. The game gets over. Kansas City wins, and all the teams are off the ice. We're making sure everything's good, and we go to get off the ice, and there is a Kansas City parent standing in front of our locker room door, and there's no way to get around him to get into our locker room. And I'm the first one walking up, and I said, "Excuse me, but you don't get to block my door to my locker room." And he goes, "Well, I'm not letting you in until you hear what I have to say." And I immediately was like, "Oh, no. You are out of line right now." And he goes, "No, just hear me out." He goes, "I need to apologize to you." And I said, "Let me guess, you're my biggest fan tonight." And he starts laughing. He goes, I just got upset with the situation. I apologize. I just hope you'll accept that, and we'll move on.
Does that fall into the Midwest nice nonsense?
So I mean, yeah, kind of. So
What's a nice?
there's a Midwest high school hockey league, and that's where like all this kind of like fit in, right? But I think the only reason that he even came up to say something in the first place was because the supervisor knew that guy, and the supervisor actually called me after the game. He's like, "Hey, did that guy come and apologize?" I said, "You were here?" And he goes, "Yeah, I was here." I said, "Oh shoot, I didn't even know." He goes, "Oh yeah, and I know the guy because his wife is my wife's OB." He goes, "I called him out." He goes, "I called him out in front of all those other parents and basically chewed his ass in front of everybody. Don't ever call out one of my referees and one of the best referees in Kansas City by name like that again, because your kid wanted to be a dickhead." And I said, "Yeah, he actually did. He did come and apologize." And he goes, "Well, that's good, because if he didn't, all hell's going to break loose at his household tonight, because I'm driving over there." So, like, I mean, it happens, right? And it's an aspect of all sports. Fans are not going to be happy with an official's decision. When it gets right down to it, regardless of the sport, there is a human factor in judgment. And regardless of the sport, it is a split-second decision.
Yep.
Obviously, with a faster-paced sport, a higher contact sport, the decision and the ability to see and react in a split second becomes higher. I've been extremely fortunate to have some of the very best people mentor me and even supervise me. I've had former NHL referees and linesmen, and I still do, that supervise games and give me, even after 27 years of skating hockey, I'm still getting things from former NHL guys that I go, "Oh wow, that's a great piece of information there." So you can never stop learning. You can never stop learning, and that's what I honestly. So I hold two different positions. I'm a state supervisor with USA Hockey.
Yep.
I have all of Kansas and in Western Missouri, but I'm also what we call our affiliate referee in chief, which is all of Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas. And I do everything I can to try to take what I've learned and give it to younger guys or less experienced officials to make them better officials.
Yep. And I think JG's comment is you can never stop learning. I think that's what he's commenting to. And you're right. You both are correct. That's very good. Didn't think I would hear that tonight, Doug, but I'm happy about that.
Yeah, that's great.
So I hope that for anybody that watches a sporting event, believe it or not, there is more times than not, there is no bias on an official going into a game. And even Julie has said, how do you not want the Mavericks to win? Well, that wouldn't be fair to the integrity of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying you're not Tim Donaghy. That's good.
Yeah, if Missouri loses, then they lose. It wasn't because of what I did. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to try to put the puck in the net.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for any other official. Like we're in a world where everything is videoed and recorded. And you look at the NFL, plays under review. We can look at it from 50 different angles. Now we have AI to go into it and change camera angles, and do all kinds of other stuff. We can slow video down frame by frame by frame at 50,000 frames a second to decide whether or not a call was right or not.
Mm-hmm.
Amen to that.
It takes away some of the human element, but the idea is though that like for officials, it is a split second decision. There is a human element to it, and I'm not going to say we're always right. Guess what? Greg, you're a human. Doug, you're human. I'm human. My daughter, Julie. We will make mistakes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of parents have such a difficult time with.
Well, and they also have a difficult time with connecting the dots. And I think, again, a lot of this is, not taking responsibility because your team is just not good. So, everybody always focuses on one or quote, two or quote bad calls, which are subjective for the most part, most of the time. Mm-hmm. Like, there are very, very few, like, hugely egregious misses, in my opinion. And many times they don't affect the outcome, or they might affect the swing of the game. But overall, the NFL is 50 plays, and y'all want to focus on one.
Right.
And y'all want to make that one the reason why y'all lost. And very few times does it work that way. Right, Russ?
Right. Take that very statement. I love how you just put that, because go to the last year's Super Bowl. I love that.
I couldn't tell you who played in the Super Bowl last year. So
it was. I'll save us, Russ, and tell Doug that it was Kansas City versus the Eagles.
But it was the Kelsey Bowl. It was the Kelsey Bowl.
Yeah, this was pre-Taylor Swift for the Kelsey stuff. So
you said the words. Oh my goodness!
I know.
Release the Kraken.
that name is like nails on chalkboard to me, and it's funny because
I was waiting to bring that up.
Between Julie and her daughters, it's always TS, and I'm like,
Can I ask a question? Does like Julie and her daughters view Taylor Swift like a Patriots fan viewed Gisele Bundchen with Tom Brady? Because Patriots fan viewed Gisele Bundchen and Tom Brady almost like Yoko Ono and John Lennon.
No,
there is an absolute insanity with people that are involved. That
it's a really bad comparison. Sorry, go on.
No, there is an absolute level of insanity of these people that are obsessed over the whole Swift Kelsey stuff. And Julie and her daughters are no exception. That's right. I said it. She's looking at me like,
oh, she's probably staring down at you like the laser eyeballs.
She's putting me on Snapchat. She's about to blast me, and I might have just sealed my fate for what'll happen tonight. But that's okay.
Sorry, man.
Give her some more wine. It'll be okay.
But so going back to Super Bowl, the last play in the game, there was an Eagles player that held a Chiefs receiver. And he even admitted, so the refs threw the flag, and immediately everybody got so defensive, and all the refs are fucking the game up. The refs want the Chiefs to win. But when the game was over and all the hype settled down, and everybody like, okay, let's talk about this hold. When we watched the replays, when we slowed it down and we watched it frame for frame, everybody said, yes, it was a hold. The post-game interviews with that Philly player, he said, yeah, I held him. I mean, I had to. It was like, I'm either going to get away with it or I'm not. It's the Super Bowl. And all of a sudden, everybody shut up about the refs. Like maybe,
for a minute.
Yeah, like the guy was actually out there doing his job. He wasn't trying to skew the game. He saw what happened. He did his job. He threw the flag because he saw the infraction, right? So there's just that level of, until a player owns up to it, the refs guilty until proven innocent.
Right.
Yeah.
And Taylor Swift is not innocent though in this. So anyway, while we're here, since Doug brought it up, and it's almost like breaking the seal, Russ, is how I feel about when you talk about Taylor Swift in any conversation about NFL, because once you go Taylor Swift, you can't go back. So now we can't go back. We're here. So Russ, so Doug, first of all, I don't know where you got that comparison, but the comparison it's bad. It's bad. Well, let me finish. The reason why it's bad is because while Gisele Bündchen is a superstar in her field, like her fame cannot be even, in my opinion, remotely touched by Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift comes in as one of the biggest rock stars on this planet. Whether you like her music or not, her record sales are undeniable. Her talent is undeniable. I'm not specifically a Taylor Swift fan. A couple songs here and there I think she's a decent human being, and that's helpful. But she's a fucking megastar. She's an uber star. She is bigger than life. So for her to, I don't want to say inject herself, but for her to like become part of this NFL community was destined to have this big pop culture clash where her friends are like moving in and her fans. And don't come at me, Swifties, because they probably are. And I mean this with all respect. So if y'all going to flame me, it would be pretty fun, actually, because then maybe I would go viral or something. But like, y'all can be crazy, like nutty crazy, like fandom crazy. Sometimes I think y'all need to tap it down. And let me tell you that Taylor has nothing to do with the outcomes of the games, even though y'all want to act like she does, and some NFL people do. But Doug, this is why, in my opinion, that when Taylor got injected into the NFL conversation, it just seemed like this big hyperbola of like craziness because she's so mega and big. Now, if you want to hold that against her, you can, but that's success, man, is how I see it. Now, if you don't like Travis Kelce because you think he's arrogant or he's not that good, or you don't like his Vax commercials, or whatever the hell your problem or hang up is with him, that's fine. And y'all can do it. So that's my Taylor Swift moment, is that like she's just so big, Doug, that she's like the big pink elephant in the room, and she can't just sneak into the room. She's going to tear the room up because she's big and bad and bold, and that's just who she is. Doug, I'll let you respond.
Greg, she can sneak into a room, but generally it's in like a
mansion,
a janitor's cart with mops and brooms hanging out the top of it.
right? So I'm not surprised, right? And I'm not surprised the NFL embraced it because that's a demographic, with all due respect, that they struggle in with as women. Getting women to watch. So of course they embraced it. It's all money. I don't know why they don't have Taylor Swift doing at this point, why isn't she the one doing this, the Super Bowl halftime?
She'd be doing it. Are you ready for some football? Like, we'll have her do that.
She's too big for that. She's too big for that.
Julie turned it down.
There's only a few people that could be like, no, fuck you. She's one of them.
Yeah. I just would like to see that fucking country music knob fucking, what was it, Waylon Jennings fucking, are you ready for some football? Fuck him. I want to see somebody else in there doing that. So anyway.
Doug, I wanted you to respond to me not liking your ref or your
you cannot like that analogy, but you don't. I think you underestimate the Patriots fans and how much they hated Gisele Bündchen. They hated her. Hated her. In a way I can't explain.
I got it, but like that wasn't like league wide, like the whole Taylor Swift kind of thing.
No, you're right. You're right. You are corrected. I'm just talking about from a Patriots fan hated her because they felt like she was trying to quote unquote rob him of his ability to play football, which is nonsense. But that's what they thought. So I just wondered if it was the same.
I have a quote from a former guest that explains everything.
I'm a asshole.
Mallory O'Meara.
No, they're massholes.
Damn.
They're massholes. And they love it. Where's JHG? JHG, are you still here? JHG's another person who says, I'm a masshole. It's cool. It's fine. They almost embrace their assholishness.
All right. So listen, I have a question. If you are embracing being an asshole, that is not a good thing. It is not. Period. End of fucking story.
Natalie literally said this on the stream. She literally said this. In fact, Doug, I haven't erased it because it's just such a classic comment and it's such a classic vibe. And Jeff Tepper's another masshole. I wonder if he is.
No. Here's the thing. Jeff is different though. Jeff is not a masshole because he doesn't. He loves the Celtics, but he is willing to be like, yeah, that was kind of fucked up. Like he's not that dude. JG, sorry, dude, you are all in the bag for fucking massholery. How many massholes do we have on this ship?
Russ, you had something to say about Taylor Swift after my little soliloquy over here.
So I'm gonna really kind of go off in a different direction with Taylor, but I'm gonna do it with Julie. If anybody's watching and you don't follow Julie, KSU Julie on her Instagram.
Make her KU Julie. KU Julie.
Oh, there's no S here. It's just K and U. So I'm working on it.
No, the man was worried about tonight. You're trying to make him miss the whole rest of the year. Like you
there's only a month left. It's okay.
I mean, the man is worried about tonight. You're like,
you done did it. You did
Julie.
it. You did it. There it is.
You're wearing a Kingdom shirt. I was assuming that was a Kansas City Chiefs shirt, but it's a YMCA shirt.
Yeah, so the YMCA teams up with the Kansas City Chiefs and does quite a bit of charitable work, and so we are the Red Kingdom, and yeah.
All right.
Chief shirt.
What I was going to say was, she has an amazing social presence with social media, KSU Julie on Instagram. And her birthday was last week. And so I took her to a very nice restaurant here in Kansas City called Ocean Prime for dinner. But what she didn't know is there's two parts to this venue, and there is a rooftop bar called Prime Social. Now, Prime Social was it after a football game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was after the Bears game earlier this year. Travis and Taylor wanted to go to Prime Social,
He took her in a convertible.
but they did not want anybody else there. So whoever called ahead paid every single person's tab to clear the place out.
Wow.
And then they invaded the place. Travis, Taylor, other football players, whatever, right? So there's a lot of stuff that went out on social media. So anyway, I took Julie to Ocean Prime for dinner, and then afterwards we went upstairs to Prime Social to the rooftop bar. And if you follow her Instagram, she put up kind of a few stories of, Taylor was right over there with Travis, right? And then I said, after we'd been there for a bit, I was like, man, I need to go to the restroom. So I go to the bathroom, and I go in, and the men's room is a stall, a urinal, and a toilet. And, whatever, I do my business. I wash my hands. I'm outside. And she goes, I need to go too. And I'm like, okay. And she comes back, and she goes, what was your bathroom like? It was a urinal and a toilet. Like, I was like, what was yours? Like, what else would it be? It's toilets, right? And she goes, well, there's just 2 toilets. And I said, so you had a 50% chance of sitting on the same toilet as Taylor's ass. She goes, oh shit, I gotta go back in there. So
she was not. Please tell, Julie, you were not posting up hoping Taylor would walk in there, were you?
Oh my gosh! She posted in there. She goes, and she pans on both toilets. I got a 50% chance of sitting on the same toilet as Taylor.
So she went and used the other toilet, Doug. So now she got it.
Right, but then she pans over to the sink and goes, but I had a 100% chance of using the same sink as Taylor.
Right. See, I'm telling you, Doug. Taylor Swift, you already know she's a.
She comes back out and shows me this, and here, you know what? I'll claim to be the mass hole at this point. I said, well, you're assuming she even washed her hands.
Hey, by the way, everybody, if you want to find Russ, he's Russ Coll on social media for all that. So please go bother him about that, not us.
Yes. Yes. And you know what? So speaking of that, real quick though, there are a lot of Julie's followers on her Instagram or Facebook, whatever, that are like always asking questions about me. And so she said, you know what, we should do an Ask the Ref segment. And I'll post that up, and I'll, see what people ask, and then I'll let you respond. Oh my gosh. There were so many questions over a variety of things, mainly hockey. Yeah, she said I had almost 100 questions, and I did respond. Some were repetitive, but I did go through and respond to a whole bunch of them. And she goes, I'm getting real tired of you because you're starting to take over my internet presence.
Both are fantasy.
Hey, you're new and shiny, Russ. You're new and shiny. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he drinks wine. And he's a railroad dude. Come on now. There's so many good things here.
There's one other thing I'm going to admit to.
So many good things here.
I'm going to admit to this, and this is probably the worst thing a man could ever admit to.
Oh.
I told you I grew up in Wyandotte County. And now I live in the county that's south of that, and it's called Johnson County. And I have been dubbed the Joco Ho. And I'm like, I'm not a hoe. Like, what the heck? And it was actually somebody goes, no, the hoe is for housewife, because I'm a single dad. I take care of my house. I do the dishes. I cook. I'm a wine drinker. I enjoy sitting in the tub with a glass of wine. I vacuum my carpet.
Back in the day, that was called a metrosexual. So you are.
Oh, no, we won't go there. So the one thing was earlier in the year, I went to Buffalo with my friend Tony, one of the hockey guys, to play golf. And I've played a lot of golf this summer. And I literally had feet and legs that looked like Curious George. My legs were so brown and my feet were white from the ankles to the toes.
Oh, okay.
I have golfer's feet, right? And
Farmer's tan, but on your legs.
yes. And so when I had come back, you know, I've been gone. My daughter's been here, you know, had the house to herself for the most part. And, you know, I'm just kind of doing some tidying up around the house. And I had just vacuumed all my front room carpet. I was sitting on the couch. I poured a glass of wine and I took a Snapchat picture of me holding this wine, my feet, and then there's these carpet lines. And I called it whining and lining. She posts this to her Instagram, and I mean, I'm surprised Instagram didn't burn to the ground. Julie said, there are all these women that are absolutely in love with you right now because none of their husbands vacuum and have those good lines on their carpet.
Hey, Julie, just revel in it, my friend. Revel in it. And Russ, you revel in that too, because you're really, really a fortunate husband or man. Husband. Well, whoa, I slipped there.
Well,
hey, let's not go there. But just
Shut it, dog.
Just the idea that Julie's an awesome person and you're an awesome person too, so it's a good thing.
You know,
Yeah.
there's not enough. Honestly, there's not enough words to really describe Julie. She's an absolute blessing in my life, and I couldn't be any more grateful.
Y'all, Doug, it reminds me of you and Jill. They say the same things about each other when they're not around.
Oh no,
yeah,
she's just on the other side. She's sitting over there on the couch.
She said the same thing about you, and we were like, "Aw!" And look, even Daniel agrees. Everybody agrees.
Yeah.
So we got to get somewhere where we disagree, Doug. I can't have this. Okay.
What?
But we'll do this for now.
Yeah.
Doug,
Okay.
You want to go first, or I'll go first?
Sure. Jump me up there.
All right.
So,
Doug, this is what you're listening to.
all right. So, what I am listening to, this slow burn is all right. So, this slow burn podcast is great. It is usually an 8 or 9 episode deep dive into some sort of.
The logo is fucking trash.
It
the
is right now.
logo is trash.
But they did a whole deep dive on Clarence Thompson, what a shithead he is. So trust me that is not the normal. They did a deep dive on Watergate. They did a deep dive on the Clinton Lewinsky scandal. But Slow Burn also does the derivatives where they have this thing. God, now I'm going to forget the name of it. But where they do snapshots of things that happened in the past that people forgot about. So it is, so basically this one they did was, which I just recently listened to, and it was this podcast where they talked about the makers of Oregon Trail. If you remember that, everybody dies of dysentery, blah, blah, blah. So they made a game called Freedom, which was distributed to a third of the schools in the country because Apple, who they had to deal with to distribute their games, had this thing where basically it was like how to be a slave and be free of being a slave and your journey through that and the Underground Railroad and all kinds of stuff. Greg, you're giving me a look. I'm going to tell you, let me finish. So the group that did that was largely white, but they went to Minneapolis and talked to a gentleman, and his name is escaping me. But on Juneteenth, he would take Black youth and do here's how the Underground Railroad worked. So he would have them, and this was a Black man he was very adamant about showing Black youth how their past was inherent with the Underground Railroad to be free. So this guy did all that, and then So the people who made the Oregon Trail game used him as a consultant. And so they made this game called Freedom, which was ability to show the path to go to be free. And it was not, there was no audio. It was all type-based, which was how Oregon Trail was. The problem is the guy who was I'm going to say problem, it's the wrong word. The guy who was the consultant said, you need to make sure that the characters in this are accurate to Southern Black people. So they made the dialect look and sound like Southern Black people at the time, who largely had difficulty getting education because they were forbidden to it by their masters and all that. So this game went out to all these schools. The problem was they had a 60-page guide to how to play this game. Oregon Trail didn't have a guide that big. The guide was like 10 pages. So their well-intentioned game to show you the struggles of people to be free did not work because it came to Indiana, and this woman, who is a Black woman, said, oh, her son came to the table and said to his sister, what's this game where they're making me play it where I either have to choose a noose or run up a tree? And that was the game. If you did not have teachers guiding you with the guidebook, but the teachers used to Oregon Trail and said, just fucking play it. So they let them play it, and they didn't get any nuance on how to guide anything. So a very well-intentioned project by the people who said, we just wanted to show how the history of slavery was, not fucking how we're taught, but how it actually was. They just completely fucked it up. So basically the people that made Oregon Trail had to eat the cost of this fucking game. And after 4 months, it was removed. The idea of how this works is just super interesting to me because it's basically a snapshot of something you hadn't thought of. Like, I hadn't heard of this game named Freedom. That wasn't a game I thought of. But it's the derivative of this podcast, Slow Burn, is called Decoder Ring. Decoder Ring is the thing where they just do really snapshots of how this works. Here's the thing. Like, I'm not a history buff, but I love weird history where shit's forgotten. And that's something that was forgotten. There's a bunch of others. It's just superb.
Excellent. Cool.
Yeah.
Check it out, y'all. It's Slow Burn. Where you could probably just put that in and find it anywhere you find podcasts, I'm sure, right, Doug?
For sure. You can find it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever. Yeah.
Cool. Here's what I listened to this week, real quick. I got 4 things here: Kanye West, Ye, Travis Scott, Utopia, We Are by John Batiste, and the Spotify Christmas instrumental. So here, y'all can see the struggle between it's not a struggle per se, but y'all can see where my kids influenced me and where I'm an old head. My kids influenced me with the Kanye West and the Travis Scott because that's what they like to listen to. So when we're doing house things, I put on things that they request. We're currently going through the Kanye West discography because one of my sons is a Kanye West fan. Music, not the person. He makes that pretty clear. And Travis Scott, Utopia is actually a really good album. I don't like Travis Scott because if y'all know anything about Travis Scott, he had some dumb concert where people were doing crazy things. People died. Then he was egging on the crowd. And he was married to, or it was with Kylie Jenner. So he's a whole ass mess, in my personal opinion. But he makes really fun and good music. Utopia is a good one. We Are John Batiste. That was the album of the year, I believe, at the Grammys 2 years ago. So that is a good listen for y'all. And Spotify Christmas instrumental. We're gonna get the Christmas music during our Christmas show. But to me, the instrumental is the best. I really don't want to hear your singing generally. I'm tired of all the Christmas songs. So if it's just in the background, it's just a light mix, Russ, where there's no Respectfully, I don't want to hear your religion. I don't want to hear any of that. I just want to hear nice Christmas tunes. So that Spotify list is a good one. Russ, are you listening to anything that you want to tell us about?
You know, I listen to so much. I kind of a short story. I grew up being a trumpet player through middle school and high school, but I also was a little bit of a drummer in high school too. So I just love music in general. Yanni is my go-to. And I know that's probably a huge unpopular thing. Like Yanni, like some people's perception of Yanni is very odd, like because they don't understand. But I'll tell you what, that guy has written and composed a lot of music that you guys hear in commercials or at sporting events and all kinds of other stuff. Anyway, so I do listen to a lot of Yanni. Right now, being Christmas season, I've been listening to a lot of Mannheim Steamroller, which I'll be honest. So my dad, Mannheim Steamroller originated out of Omaha, Nebraska. And my dad has followed them since they started. And Chip Davis, who is the mastermind behind Mannheim Steamroller, he decided he wanted to do a Christmas album, back in the early 90s. And all of the like record labels told him, as soon as you do a Christmas album, you will be dead. Anybody that goes and does a Christmas album, unless you're some kind of superstar, you're just going to end up, it'll tank. You'll never do well. And they've been the opposite. They've done extremely well. So I do love listening to Mannheim Steamroller. I grew up on that just because of my dad. And
cool.
Kind of the same thing with Yanni.
You're getting a lot of Yanni comments, man.
Yeah, I see that. Live at the Acropolis. The Acropolis. The Acropolis was the absolute thing, like for Yanni as well. When Yanni, without going into a lot of his history, Yanni went out on a limb and did this album in Acropolis in Greece, his hometown, or I shouldn't say his hometown, his home country. And it was an all or nothing. And it was actually a 3-concert event that absolutely sent him into the platinum era. So it was something that absolutely put him on the map and has been something since. I've actually met him once back in 2018. I went to Chicago. On that particular year, he was doing a tour that had a VIP meet and greet. And I said, you know what? For my birthday that year, I am going to Chicago and I'm going to do the VIP meet and greet. It was a bucket list. That was that. I saw a comment there about Yanni's got one jam from Red Rocks. That was actually John Tesh, not Yanni.
And John Tesh had the NBA theme, and that was at Red Rocks.
Yes, and Yanni did much of the same thing. A lot of people don't realize that the music they hear at sporting events for certain things or on TV. Case in point, John Tesh, just what you said there, Doug, was that he wrote that music that was the NBA Jam, right? Mm-hmm. Yanni actually wrote some music for the PGA Tour, for the Masters. It is what it is. It's an amazing thing. He's an incredible composer. Both of them, John Tesh, Yanni, they're both incredible musicians. They actually worked together at one point in time. But Yanni is kind of a core for me. When I was in high school, my band director had introduced us to that. And I was just blown away at it because it was like a rock band and an orchestra at the same time. And I have followed him since. Absolutely love it. My kids all have grown up on it. But I'm also a big jazz guy. So I listen to a lot of jazz stuff, but more so like big band swing jazz or one of Julie's good friends. His name is Ted. he asked us to go to a bar that's actually down by the down by the railroad. It's called Knuckleheads, and they have some amazing musicians that come in there. And one of them was a guy named Black Joe Lewis. I've never even heard of this guy. And we go to Knuckleheads one night, and there's Black Joe Lewis, and this guy, he's on a guitar, he's got another guitarist and a drummer, and they played for 2 hours without a break, and it was absolutely amazing. I was like, I've never even heard of this guy, but this is awesome. So Black Joe Lewis is like one of my go-tos right now. There's a song, like one of his more popular ones is called "Bitch, I Love You." Look it up. It's hilarious. Just look the artist up. He's honestly, it's kind of good. Earlier this year, I went out playing golf, and I got paired up with a guy, complete random stranger, and he's from Texas. And I had my phone sitting in the golf cart playing Black Joe Lewis while we were playing golf, and he goes, "Man, who is that?" And I said, guy named Black Joe Lewis. He was like, "Oh, I knew I recognized it from somewhere." He's like, "He's from Austin, Texas. We call them dirt bands because they come out of nowhere and they tear the places up. They're not necessarily people that are going to go superstar status, but they're good, just little jam bands." But Black Joe Lewis, I love the guy. I love his little music. Like they're not very long songs, and it's almost like he's telling a small story, like a personal experience. Good dude. The Yanni stuff, and then R.L. Burnside, old school, deep South blues rhythm kind of thing. Like those are just kind of my tops to go to right now. I hit a lot of aspects when it comes to music, just because of my music history.
That's all right.
Excellent. One more thing we have to hit on before we get to something else is this, Doug, real quick. You and I are playing. Doug, you go first.
All right, so I'm playing Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake is one of my favorite fucking games. I don't know, that game might be 8 or 9 years old, the first one. So this one is basically the sequel. They had one sequel called American Nightmares that was terrible. Alan Wake 2 plays like a modern horror movie. And the idea of like playing it, it's just, God, it's so fucking good. I don't like, I don't know how to explain it other than I'm the other game. The first Alan Wake was a little more jokey. This is not as jokey. And so different characters, but Alan Wake is kind of the backdrop of it all. And Alan Wake died at the end of Alan Wake 1. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play that out. But yeah, that game is fucking phenomenal. Yeah, thanks. I won't be here. I'll be driving to my parents tomorrow. So.
And that is on the Xbox, correct? You play that?
Well, Fortnite plays everywhere. So
No. Alan Wake.
Oh, Alan Wake. I think you could play that on any platform. That is not just an Xbox title.
I asked you what you played on, Doug.
Well, I played on Xbox, of course, but because I'm an Xbox player, so
don't assume that everybody knows that. I just have to. We have to preface that, and that's why you have the little Xbox control on the down there, just so everybody knows where it's at.
And you have the inferior controllers. That's good.
So, for the record, I don't do these console war things. Those are for kids.
I'm just bullshitting.
And it's fine. But I play Sackboy on the PS5. Sackboy's Big Adventure. It's a pretty fun game that is really dumb and meaning, not dumb, but like simple, old school, with nice graphics, a really nice music score here. And it's a family friendly game. I think you can play more than one person. It's pretty cool. It's fun. I will be streaming that to the Lags Libation and Lost Tapes YouTube page for anybody who follows there. You can follow me playing Sackboy. It's pretty fun. I've tried to play one level per day. So I just get on there and just play a level and kind of resets you. Russ, do you play any video games?
You know what? Believe it or not, I don't have time for video games.
That's not something that's surprising me, but yes.
You know what though? I mean, the games that I do play are apps on my phone. Years ago, my sister was playing dominoes, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't played any Bones in forever." And so she turned me on to an app off iTunes or the App Store that is dominoes. So her and I, honestly, we have like 8 different dominoes games going, and then I've got probably 15 with other people. That's really about the only game I truly play is dominoes.
Hey man, if that's what you play, that's all good.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's cool. My kids keep me in these video games. I kind of want to keep up with them. Other than that, I wouldn't do it.
There was a point in time when my two sons, Christian and Jacob, when they were younger, we were at a Walmart one day, and Walmart had a video game where it resembled like an original Nintendo, like an NES system, and all you had to do was plug it into your TV.
Oh no, that was not the ball.
And it was preloaded with like 200 different games. And I was like, oh my gosh, some of these games I haven't played since I was younger than you two. And there was one that was also had a bunch of Sega games on it. The original Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Spinball, like all this stuff. I'm like, oh, we got to get this thing. And my kids looked at the controllers and like, what the heck do you do with a 4-direction controller and 3 buttons? I was like, you all just sit back and watch. And I totally went through an entire game of Sonic the Hedgehog without dying. And they're like, Mom, who is this guy? But that's, gosh, I just, anymore, I just don't have the time for video games.
Yeah. The only reason when I started playing Sackboy, the only reason I said I wanted to play a level per game because it actually made me want to play, like to sit down and waste 5 minutes basically. But sometimes I use it just to break up the day, if that makes sense, Russ. You know what I mean? Sometimes
absolutely.
I'll just clean the palette here. And so yeah, man. Good times, y'all. Good times. So Russ, this is the time where we really usually start to wrap it up. Yep. But before we do, and we'd love to have you back because we haven't really hit everything, and I kind of knew we weren't, given your background and what you do. But we do always have to have a chance to food shame you on the way out. So I got a question for you, and you better get it right, or I don't know, something's gonna happen. Okay. So you're up first here. Here's the question. Which is your go-to?
Oh my gosh. Well, I can tell you now, and I'm going to tell you what, this is absolutely going to make Julie pissed off to no end, but Taco Bell is never on my list. What? Yeah, you know. Come on, you know
what? In the background.
She talks about Taco Bell, like, and I say, yeah, well, if I want to spend a whole day on the toilet, then I'll eat Taco Bell. Oh my gosh, like I don't really eat fast food either, but
when you have to,
I do. You know what? Honestly, the most of any fast food that I'll eat is McDonald's breakfast.
I love it.
But for what you've got up here, I mean, Man, Arby's curly fries are the shit. I love Arby's curly fries.
There you go. Okay.
But
That's fine.
I'm also like, I mean, you just can't go wrong with, especially when you're drunk and you get some fresh, hot, salty McDonald's fries. Come on now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's Arby's and McDonald's.
Yeah. I'm probably more McDonald's than Arby's. I mean,
Okay.
but I'm a Chicago guy too, so shit, throw me into Portillo's and none of those got anything on Portillo's.
Portillo's.
Right?
Doug, you were shaking your head in vast disagreement.
All right, so McDonald's fries can go get fucked because these things last about 3 minutes, but when they're anything that's not piping fucking hot, they're fucking cardboard. So fuck that.
That is so true.
So no, I will completely agree with you on Arby's. Their curly fries are my second favorite fries. My favorite fries are Five Guys. Five Guys fucking fries are awesome. And listen, Arby's and Five Guys, it's like 1A and 1B. They are so close, but they're completely different. I will be the first to say that I've never had Checkers or Shake Shack, or let me look, Smash Burger, Raising Cane's. Well, yeah, I've had Raising Cane's, but like Culver's, no. Popeye's fries are fucking trash. They're trash. Whataburger, no thanks. But like, and Burger King fries. Listen, Burger King onion rings are tasty as fuck. Burger King fries suck.
Are trash.
And Chick-fil-A can go fuck a duck. Fuck them. But Wendy's fries are not half bad. But it's Arby's and Five Guys for me.
So one thing that's on there, and like I said, being a Chicago guy, White Castle. I've
never had
White Castle in general. And you know what? If there's any Chicago people on here, come on, let's fight. White Castle is awful. My dogs will not eat White Castle. I mean, seriously. People in Chicago eat White Castle like it's fucking 5-star. It's disgusting. My dogs won't eat White Castle.
That's not good if your dogs won't eat it.
Right. Oh man.
All right.
White Castle came to Kansas City back in the late 80s, early 90s, and it flopped. It did no good. Like 30 burgers for $5. Come on now. Right?
Wow.
It was so cheap. Yeah, you get 30 of these. They were sliders. Today's term, they were sliders, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was such cheap food, and it was disgusting. Oh my gosh, it was so bad. Still is. It hasn't gotten better.
So I agree with Rush. It's a fucking abomination that Taco Bell is even on this list.
I agree totally.
So they're not great. The fries are not great there. So my personal favorite is Culver's. Culver's is damn good. They're consistent too. Like Doug's right. Like sometimes you gotta have, like, if you have the top end of these fries, but sometimes they don't come out good. They're sitting in the fryer. And Doug and I shouldn't be eating fries in an abundance like we used to anyway. So when I have fries, Doug, I want to have the best fries. You know what I'm talking about, Doug? I want what I usually do now is just share. And I'll get like 4 or 5, big fries, and then I give the rest away. Yep. Is what I usually do. And when I do, I want to have Culver's basically. But even though I haven't had Culver's in a while, everything else here is second. Arby's, curly fries are legendary, actually. Of course, they've always, they were better before. But Arby's crinkle fries, I don't know if y'all fuck with them. They're pretty decent. They're all right. They're all right. They're not great, but they're fine. In fact, in my opinion, Arby's crinkle fries are probably better than 90% of the rest of the shit on them. So, White Castle is high and drunk food. And that's
Harold and Kumar food.
Listen,
Literally.
like Julie,
Literally.
there's been some times where either Julie's got me hammered or Julie's gotten herself hammered, and then she wants Taco Bell, and I end up eating it, and the next day I regret it.
Right.
Right?
Oh, no. Well, your colon's like, I'm clean now. So you don't have to. Your colon's probably like, I don't regret this.
Yeah.
Well, and being a hockey guy too, man. Like another thing that we didn't really get to touch, but like Russ probably skates what, a couple miles every game or something like that. So 7 miles you skate.
7
So
miles a game.
look at that. That deserves a round of applause when I get there. He keep having Taco Bell weigh him down when he's got to go and skate 7 miles. It's not gonna work.
Man, listen, honestly, a lot of myself included, other officials that I've worked with over the years, a Subway sandwich, whatever it is, whatever you decide to get, only they will turn around and only eat maybe a quarter of the bread, but they'll eat all the insides. And for me, honestly, a pregame meal, if I even want to say it's a meal, we have a regional type gas station convenience store kind of thing. It's called Quick Trip, QT. If you're from the Midwest of the country, you know what the QT is. They have a lot of really good food, but I will get a yogurt with granola and a small coffee and have that as a pregame.
Love it. Well, you got to stay light, man. You got to stay light. You got to fly around and avoid these guys. You got to avoid the skates as much as they do.
Yeah,
you do. You got to avoid those haymakers too that they land when you're trying to break them up.
That'll be it. That's a good discussion for another day.
Oh, I remember that.
And for what it's worth, these are all mine. None are missing and none are fake.
And that's why I like being goalie, because I was from head to toe. Come fuck with me. I was padded from head to toe, dog. So of course I'm 6 foot, and I can make myself look really wide, so I can be intimidating in the net. But people, that didn't stop anybody from running at you. Of course, you were the center of attention as goalie, and I learned that on my way out. I didn't understand how much the center of attention that goalies are, and how much people really hate you, and how you're really, really stopping the other team from being happy, Doug. And I started to relish that at the end of my goalie career, just because fuck you. So that being said, we're going to do this, right, y'all? So I'm going to go first, if y'all don't mind, and I'll be quick.
Yep.
I had this chill thing that chilled me out. It was really nice. I think it's 10 milligrams of THC in here, Russ, and it mellowed me the fuck out. Cheers to that. I love it small, and it was really light. It didn't really feel overly sugary, Doug. I didn't really get to look at the whole can, but it didn't. I mean, the small size is what I really liked. You know what I mean, Doug? Not that much liquid. You know how this rolls.
Yep, sure do.
Let's see, this Oktoberfest. Nice little smoked lager. Really, really nice. And then I had this I didn't tell anybody about. I just drank it. It was a Love Notes Hazy Double IPA. Pretty good. Juicy pineapple notes, all kinds of fruity things. It sounded like that wine that Russ had earlier. Russ, what did you drink this evening?
You know what? I stuck to 2 different wines, very different ends of the spectrum. The first one that I had, and I was just actually pouring, was the Daryl Rex Groom Pinot Noir from Sonoma County, Russian River Valley, right? 2019. Just a great wine, like a lot of cherry, raspberry, a little bit of cinnamon, just a just a great wine, good wine. And then I swapped over to the Missouri wine, which was the white blend of Vignoble and Traminette. Vignoble being a sweet, Traminette being a dry. Just some great tasting notes out of it: honey, melon, orange. Gosh darn, they list in here like lilac and apple. It's a good sweetness with a good balance of acidity. Fancy with the aerator over there. Listen, you cannot go without aerating red wine. You have to. Yeah, you have to aerate red wine. You cannot. The flavor profile just changes immensely. So those were the two that I went with tonight. I thought about opening a third, but if I did, things might be a little different tonight. So
Yeah.
we'll just stick with it. Cheers. It was good.
Wait for the after party. Doug, what do you have?
All right. So 3. So the first one, I'm going to go in the order of what I liked.
Oops. Not that.
This was the Big Bag Baptista chocolate caramel sea salt. It was good. Not great. It was, I honestly prefer just a regular Bad Baptista, Big Bad Baptista. It was a bit too sweet for my taste, which is interesting because I took the cookie milkshake exchange from Great Lakes. That was sweet, not nearly as sweet as the Big Bad Baptista one. So this was my second favorite. My favorite was this goddamn thing. This fucking Dragon's Milk S'mores Reserve was just superb, delicious. I have more of those, thankfully. So yeah, that was excellent.
All right. Well, Russ, we would like to thank you. We would like to have you back anytime you're fully welcome here. Your story is fun. You live an interesting life, and I hope you probably understand that because it's your life. But Doug and I found it very fascinating. Thanks, Doug, for having this tangential guest that we had, another guest from another guest. So that's great. Any last words, Russ, before we get out of here? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, JHG asked what this one. It was the Dragon's Milk Reserve S'mores. So that's what that one was.
I think the next time we'll get not just me, not just Julie, we'll get both of us on here, and man.
Okay.
Well, Kansas and KSU fucking yelling at each other on the stream. This will be awesome.
Well, so I'll just give you a little preface. Last season, KU football did very well, and I told her that, you know what, you better look out next year because KU football is coming after you guys. And she's like, I lost a bet actually on K-State basketball back in February, and I ended up wearing.
That shouldn't be happening.
They barely beat KU in Manhattan, Kansas, the Little Apple, and I
because of fucking Noel, right? It was because of Noel, that little piece of shit motherfucker. God, I hated that guy.
I ended up wearing a K-State shirt. Nonetheless, that was the bet. Whoever's team won, the other person had to wear the other person's school colors because they played each other like 2 or 3 weeks apart. It was K-State, KU in Manhattan. KU lost. So then I had to wear K-State, and they played each other again, only this time it was in Lawrence at KU. And not only that, you had to go to that person's favorite bar wearing that other person's stuff and post it to your social media. She's like, I will lose followers.
Yeah, well.
And she got lucky. Well, so anyway, KU football's done really well this year. And I told her, I said, you better look out because next year might just not be your year. You barely squeaked by this time. The Jayhawks are taking over their state, so get used to it.
And we'll take that as the final word.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rock
Daniel
Chalk
says-
Jayhawk, baby.
Daniel says, thank you. He'll open wine for you next year.
Nice.
Yeah, so thanks, Russ. You're more than welcome
Thanks,
to
Russ.
join us in the after
Post-production.
show post-production. Just don't click out, but if you have to go, we want to thank you again and cheers and good luck railroading
I'll
and
be here.
refereeing.
I'll be here. I'm not going nowhere.
Wait, Doug, wait for that. Thank you. All right, Russ. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right. See you, Russ.
Thank you. All right. A couple housekeeping things here. Doug, you want to talk about this quick?
Yeah, so Shawnee is next. We met her at Barrel and Flow, and I'm super excited to have her on next week. We were lucky enough to have her join. She's part of the Black Beer Experience. She is the owner and creator of that. So it's going to be fantastic to have her on and talk about that and also Barrel and Flow. So it'll be great.
Cool. Also, talk about this.
Cult Bar. So this coming Wednesday, we're going to talk about Escaping Twin Flames. So Escaping Twin Flames is the Netflix documentary on this. There is also a Amazon Prime one that is about Twin Flames. We're both basically going to be using Escaping Twin Flames as a primary, but we're going to be talking about both. So you can watch both. The Netflix one, each episode's an hour long. So that's a bit longer. The Amazon Prime one is each episode's like 45 minutes long, so shorter. But it's going to be interesting because Twin Flames is fucked up in many ways I can't explain until you watch it. And then we are following up with Love Has Won, which is the Mother God documentary, which a million people are talking about, which is on HBO Max. That's going to be coming up in January. So we're going to be doing Twin Flames in December and the ridiculous Love Has Won Mother God cult in January. So,
Oh, that's just ridiculous on some level. But what's not ridiculous, Doug, is our last announcement of the night, which is the Badger Beer Hour is taking over the stream, y'all, on Friday, January 5th. That's probably I think that's 2 days after the second. We got a Colt Bar coming up this week, and then we'll have a Colt Bar first week in January, like we always do. But it'll be Chris, Landon, and I co-hosted. We'll have some special guests that you guys should be a little familiar with because they've appeared here. But I'm going to tease that for another time. But Doug, you know who they are. Doug is taking the night off, but we have some more takeover and specialty themed shows working. Nothing that we could talk about, but we are working on making 2024 interesting and very, very different than 2003 here. We like to keep it fresh, and we like to give y'all, it keeps us, Doug and I, one of the things we talked about when we met at Barrel and Flow was keeping things fresh and different and trying new things. So that's going to be one of them. That's January 5th. Landon, Chris Drosner will make his reappearance. He's taking some time off Badger Beer Hour and being a beer baron. Now he's back soon, and that'll be his introduction back to us. Badger Beer Hour will have a December show with Landon and I anchoring as usual, and we'll see y'all there for y'all Badger Beer. We're the only, Doug, we are the only live stream beer news thing in this whole damn state, y'all. And we're kind of proud of our project, and we hope that y'all
should be.
Wisconsin folks are proud of us. So that's it. Yeah. So I don't know who this is,
That's Zach.
but
That's Zach.
Zach, you will have the opportunity to literally live up to this really soon. More details coming soon, but we will have a Patreon channel.
Yep.
And Russ, during the show, has agreed to appear there. So you'll see more Russ there, maybe before you see him back on the stream, maybe not.
Yep.
So on that note, Doug, we are out of here. I see a lot of comments, so sit through our outro and you'll see the comments that I'm seeing. But y'all have a great weekend. Don't do too much crazy holiday shit.
Yep.
Enjoy yourself, but get some of that shopping done, dude. Y'all, you don't want to wait till the 24th. So, thank you again, Doug. I'll see you next week.
You got it. Love you guys.
Or I'll see you before next week.
Maybe.
I gotta hit this button. Right.